say about it. And this is the first time that you and I have seen each other in person, and we've both really been feeling it in the last couple of days, as everybody here has been feeling it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the first time I've been here since I found out. I was scheduled to be out on Friday. Obviously, found out on Friday, and was happy I was out that night, as it's been a horrible couple days. First and foremost, I guess what I would like to say is my thoughts, condolences, prayers to the Conley family, to Jeremy's, his parents, his sister, his niece Fiona, who I know he was the most proud to be her uncle, and was constantly coming in here talking about her, showing pictures. You always knew when it was Jeremy's parents' anniversary, or they were going there for a holiday or something like that. And just the outpouring of support you've seen from everyone here. I've been texted by everybody, and I mean Patriots interns, night show interns, former hosts, the great Howie Sylvester. Yep. I shot a text to this morning. The immense impact Jeremy Conley had on this station is, it is everlasting. The broadcast he was a part of, his work will live on forever, but all of that kind of, pales in comparison to who Jeremy Conley was, what he meant to his family, those that were closest to him, and for someone who I knew Jeremy Conley for 7-8 years, and he meant the world to me. I love the guy. I genuinely did. I miss him so much dearly already. He taught me everything. So I can't even, begin to think what he means to his family, and to lose someone like that so young. And one of the things that I did want to say about Jeremy Conley and who he was at the Sports Hub, because it was a real repeated message from Tyler Milliken to Kevin Majori to Mason Souza to the interns. And maybe you can speak to this too, McCarthy, but when you enter this business, I didn't know anyone. You don't know anybody. Yeah. You come into this building as a complete stranger. And, not that Mike Felger and Tony Maz or Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt by any means, but they are known commodities in this business. And you come in and like myself, Tyler Milliken, Majori, interns, whoever it may be, you don't know anybody. And Jeremy Conley was the standard of the Sports Hub, but he was also the entryway to the Sports Hub, because being that night show producer and being the executive producer of games, you're in charge of kind of the new crop of on-air talent.
Yep.
And the new crop of producers that are coming in, because it's the night show. And stick Scaz, stick Majori, stick Tyler Milliken. They don't know what the hell they're doing. Stick them with Jeremy.
And they'll learn.
They'll learn. He'll teach them everything, and he'll do it while being a miserable grump, but absolutely delightful the entire time. And just for Jeremy to be the standard of the station while also being kind of the entryway and the beaconing, I could only, begin to speak of the tip of the iceberg of the messages I've received, and just that lasting message that, he made me feel welcome. Me and Milliken were talking, like, I didn't know anyone. This is an intimidating business. You don't know anybody. And just who Jeremy was, I miss him dearly already. And I just, I can't stop thinking about his family and close friends over these last couple of days. But a tremendous loss for us and for everyone.
Yeah, beautifully said, Scaz. If Conley was family to all of us here, as you mentioned, he probably worked with more people here than just about anybody in the history of the station. As you mentioned, he was the night show producer for so long, and as a result, produced Bruins and Celtics and Patriots games. Eventually, became the executive producer of the Bruins, Celtics, and Patriots. Those are a lot of broadcasts. And varied broadcasts, and it's the type of thing where everybody at the station in some way or another has probably worked on one of those broadcasts, whether it's filling in on the night show, filling in, on Patriots, Bruins, or Celtics games, because those games can be played anytime between. I mean, there have been morning Patriots games. There have been.
We got a 3:00 tip for opening day.
You got a 3:00 tip. So, I mean, everybody at the station knows Jeremy. Worked with Jeremy, and somebody texted me from a different market somewhere else, somebody that we know in the business, Scaz, and he said that we hear at the Sports Hub are the UConn's women's basketball team, we're the Patriots, we're the Yankees, whatever it is, we're the gold standard of sports radio. And he said, and the reason for that is, and I just thought he nailed it, is because everyone has a job to do and is so committed to doing it because of the standard. And I just thought that, and he said, I never met Jeremy, but I know that's who he was because I know what your station is. And I said, you couldn't have nailed it any better because that's what Jeremy was. Jeremy lived up to the standard of this station, perhaps more so than any single person I've met here at the station. I don't know how else to say it other than that. I mean, he cared so deeply about the product while also at the same time absolutely not giving an F. And it was because that was who he was, but he was so committed to it. I know that sounds crazy. It's like you had to know the man to know what I'm saying. Am I describing it right about him, Scaz? Like
a true one of one individual, Jeremy. He cared, more than anybody, and also was ready to blow the place up at a moment's notice. I mean, if we're being completely honest, that's who he was, and that's why we loved him. But he was the standard. I mean, if he did, I heard Jake mention it on Friday night with Joe a little bit, but like, if he did a game, if he was working, not that you could shut your brain off, but you could put your fears away. You could put your stress away. You could, if something went wrong, if we lost connection, if anything happened, he'd figure it out. And if he didn't, well,
then nobody was going to figure it out.
Yes.
I mean, you truly are screwed. If Conley can't figure it out, nobody could figure it out. And you know this, guys. You've produced Bruins and Celtics and Patriots games. There was a time in my past where I did the exact same thing. Jeremy Conley trained me. And those broadcasts, particularly the Celtics broadcasts, are the toughest broadcasts to do at the station from a production standpoint. There is no doubt about that. And, I was a kid. I was 23, 24, getting into the business. I got a call from the big boss, Mike Thomas, at the time, and he said, hey, we need a Celtics producer this year. You've run a board before, right? I'd been here a year. I was doing weekend updates. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. And he's like, okay, Jeremy's going to train you. It's all I needed. And man, was I terrified at times. I mean, the first night on the air, Kyrie Irving dropped called. No, it wasn't Kyrie Irving. It was Rajon Rondo called Kobe Bryant an a-hole live on the air. And we're at a delay at that point. I turned to Jeremy. I'm like, what do I do? He's like, what do you do? There's nothing you can do. Just move on. And man, I have so many Jeremy stories that, I mean, we could fill this show with 4. We're not going to, but we could fill this show with 4 hours of Jeremy stories.
And there's nothing he would hate more than that.
It's so true.
He would absolutely hate that. But a tremendous, tremendous loss. Just the countless stories. But you mentioned it, the game broadcasts. I mean, Super Bowls. He worked countless Super Bowls, playoff runs, Celtics, Bruins, those West Coast games. I mean, if you listen to the station, at all, you've heard Jeremy Conley, and you may not know the name, but you've heard his work. You've heard his season, packages, his playoff recaps, series recaps. I know the great Howie Sylvester did a lot of stuff with the Bruins 2011 montage, but Jeremy has taken that role, and I'm sure he, added stuff and cleaned it up. And any of those Patriots pieces we put together around the holidays, the great games, all that stuff. So Jeremy, I'm just going to really miss the guy. It still hasn't fully hit me. It's a tremendous, tremendous loss for us. And I just keep going back to his family and his loved ones. I'm constantly thinking about them. And, it's just, it's a horrible, horrible loss for us, for all of us. And just, you never know. Love your loved ones. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But to who Jeremy Conley was as a person, I think it shows the outpouring of love we've seen in, tenfold over the last couple of days.
He was a hell of a guy. He loved The Simpsons. He loved, you could make any South Park reference you want. Loved the Marvel movies. I've never seen any of them. I used to give him so much crap for that. And I mean, he was a ball buster and a half, man. I mean, a lot of us here at the station are, most of us, frankly, all of us at the station are. I don't know if there's a single person at the station who isn't a ball buster. There may be one or two, but other than that, he was a, you want to talk about Maz's tiers, a tier 1 98.5 The Sports Hub ball buster. And as you said, it hasn't hit me yet either. I mean, keep thinking I'm going to come in and see him at some point. This is the time of year where we start to see Jeremy because he's producing Bruins and Celtics and Pats games and basically gets the month of June off, although he got earlier time off than usual this year with the Bruins and Celtics both going out early. But I don't think it's going to hit me until there's a West Coast Bruins game that goes to overtime, because, man, did I love texting that guy anytime. If there was one thing Jeremy Connolly hated, and there were a number of things that Jeremy Connolly did not care for. It was overtime hockey, because that meant he had to work more. That meant he had to work later into the night. And the Bruins love playing overtime hockey. So I know you did the same thing. If Bruins have a 2-goal lead, third period, Vancouver scores with 7 minutes to play and it's 1 a.m. My first text was going to be to Jeremy Connolly saying, "You know what's about to happen, right?" That's when it's going to hit me that he's not here with us, when we get that first Bruins overtime game and I reach for my phone to bust his balls about having to work an overtime period. That's going to hit hard, man.
If the Celtics were ever in a 1 point, 2 point game late and I was working it and Jeremy Connolly was not here, I was getting texts from Jeremy like, "Oh, this might go to overtime. Better not go to overtime." And I will say that Thursday night's Patriots game ending in a tie and there being no overtime was maybe a small tip of the cap. Jeremy Connolly there.
The only thing else I want to say is this, Get. We've talked a lot about the person, a lot about the producer. A great producer is egoless. A great producer is egoless.
That's why I'll never be great.
And Jeremy had zero ego whatsoever. A great producer is egoless because in the end, the people in this room get the credit or the blame or whatever it is, and we're the talking heads, right? But the reason why this station is so good is we have the absolute best producers in the business. I've said this for years. I feel very strongly about it. You go anywhere else, you appreciate how great the producers are here at this station. Jeremy was, and I say this truly, never wrong about anything. He nailed it. I'd come in with an idea for the night show, and he'd either say yes or no, or I'd go about trying to do something some way, and Jeremy would kind of either give the tip of the cap, or he would flat out tell you, "Matt, this is not going to work." He had a process, and you can speak to this, Scaz, and Garvin, you can speak to this as well. Like, there's so many different ways to skin a cat when you're producing. Connolly's processes were unmatched. If he told you, "Hey, this is how I do it. You can do it however the hell you want, but I'm going to recommend it this way." If you did it one way, you tried it the other way. You always went back to the way that Jeremy did it, because he knew what the hell was going on. He was as efficient and as quality a producer as I've ever come across in the business. And the only other thing I'd say about what makes a great producer, from my standpoint as, somebody on the air, is you always want your producer to believe in you. And that sounds so simple, but it means everything when you're in this chair to come in to the night show when you're filling in, or whatever it may be, a Bruins broadcast, a Celtics broadcast, a Patriots broadcast, and to know that your producer believes in you gives you everything you need to do your job. And that is, it's just an innate ability that he had to make you feel like he believed in you. And Jeremy always believed in me, and I'll never forget that. And I'll always appreciate his belief in me. Jeremy went to bat for me here at this station. I told him at the time I'd never forget it. Now I'll certainly never forget it. I just want to say thank you for believing in me, Jeremy. That I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it.
I think it's a tremendous, tremendous point, because it's who he was. It's who he was as a person. He was just a genuinely great human who wanted people to succeed. He wanted you to be good. And you mentioned how he was kind of the caretaker of bringing these new people in, and I had to step into, Jeremy had the impossible task of stepping into Howie Sylvester's shoes, and he did it. Seamlessly, and I had the impossible task of stepping into Jeremy Conley's shoes, which, I'll always be chasing, because he was the night show at the Sports Hub, with Jones and Jeremy kind of became, In or Out and musings, all these things where Joe and Jeremy was right there, along the way. And just who he was is something I've tried to take to that night show role, not to, make it about, us or anything, but just the way you treat new talent, the way you treat new people in the business, the way you treat interns, let them on the air, like that. Just, if there's anything, it's just, he was such a genuinely good guy, and I'm going to miss him.
No doubt. I'm going to miss him too. Garvin, he would hate that we just went 5 minutes past the clock.
Oh, yeah.
We're just,
The Joe Show?
Yeah, suck on that, Jeremy. Seriously. Garvin, do you want to offer anything before we head to break and get into the program?
I mean, I had the opportunity to speak at length yesterday.
Okay.
But I will just reiterate, like, a lot of what you said. Like, I was very new over here. I'd, been in radio for 10 years, and I came over here. I was terrified. And having Jeremy as a friend and a resource, as you said, to believe in me, to push me, to not allow the doubt to creep in, and just remind me that, like, this is stuff I can do because, one, of my own abilities, but because Jeremy is backing me, and I know that he was always there in those tough moments as a producer when things would get bad. He was one of the first people I met when I joined the Sports Hub back in 2024. Matt, as you said, this is the time of year where we would be seeing him a lot, and I would see him every single Sunday. I would usually see him when I was leaving at night as he was coming in. We would always say, we always had this mantra: have a great night, no overtimes, and we move on. We were very similar. Like, see, I always respected his IDGAF personality because you have to be good at what you're doing to act like you want to burn the place down, because nobody else is going to put up with that crap. You can't be bad at your job and also hold people accountable the way that he did. And you're right. I'm going to miss him. It still really hasn't settled in that we're not going to see him around here anymore. And I do just want to reiterate that he was an organ donor. You can go to registerme.org for all that information. I've tweeted it. I know a lot of other people have. And I just think it's so fitting, because in order to thrive in this role, like you said, you can't have a lot of ego. It's a thankless position.
It is.
And you have to be very giving. And it just breaks my heart to think about, but it's so just wonderfully Jeremy that even now that he's no longer here, he is still giving in the position that he is giving, the way that he always has since he's been here. And I just think it's so, like, wonderfully poetic.
Yeah.
But like I said, I talked at length about, my time with Jeremy and all the fun we had, and conversations about music and TV and The Simpsons and radio. We worked with a lot of the same people, so we kind of connected instantly. But it's just the outpouring of support, the sentiments that I've seen, it's overwhelming. He was a big reason that the Sports Hub is what it is, and it's not going to be the same. The Sports Hub will not be the same without him.
Couldn't agree more. 617-779-0985. As you mentioned, Scaz, he would have absolutely hated that we just did 20 minutes on him.
Please call in about sports.
Please,
for our sake.
We beg of you. We beg of you. Speaking of sports, Jeremy was the creator of the Dong Report, which is the greatest segment in the history of the station. So you want to appreciate his genius? That was it right there. Let's get into some baseball. Let's get into the Red Sox and the latest going on with their rehab assignments win last night. Christian Gonzalez as well. We'll get to you. 617-779-0985. Matt McCarthy and Scaz hanging out on a Sunday afternoon, morning, whatever it is. Who cares?
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Poutine. All going out for rehab assignments this week. It's Matt McCarthy, James Scaramazino hanging out until 2 o'clock today. 617-779-0985. What do you make of this, Scaz? don't get me wrong. I am excited about most of this. Most of it. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean they need these guys. I didn't want the Red Sox to be in a position where they were going to need Trevor Story, and I think some fans may still feel that they don't. But the way their offense has looked, and I know they kind of erupted in the ninth inning last night, but you go into the ninth, one-run game again last night. They're living dangerously offensively. You almost waste another great Sonny Gray performance if you're, facing an actual baseball team that isn't the Pittsburgh Pirates. You might be in some trouble there, and you have more arms going on the IL with Whitlock and now Slayton. So you need these guys. I mean, you're not really in a position, to turn your nose up at Trevor Story.
I am. I'm always in a position to turn my nose up at Trevor Story, but I hear what you're saying. We do not know at this point, Scaz, who their starting second baseman, shortstop, and left fielder will be in the playoffs. I think their starting left fielder will be Roman Anthony. That being said, Yoshida now is going on the injured list. So, is Anthony going to come back? Is he going to DH? There's that. I mean, there's still so many jobs to be won and jobs to be decided between now and game one of the playoffs. And I guess you can throw Story into that mix. I would say this. I don't want Trevor Story playing shortstop. I definitely do not want that. I think they need to be a better team defensively. They're still, even if you add a healthy Trevor Story and a healthy Roman Anthony into this lineup, I think if you add, they're still not going to hit enough, and they're going to need to catch the baseball. I don't trust Trevor Story's ability to be a quality major league shortstop at this point. Meanwhile, we do get the updates that Story is going to play shortstop and hit second today as he begins his rehab assignment with Worcester. So it seems to me that they're bringing him back as a shortstop, and I don't like that, because I think Story needs to earn this job the same way that I would argue Roman Anthony needs to earn the job. I do not want to mess with the momentum, the vibes, the feeling, whatever it is, the intangible factor in that clubhouse right now. And I think reintroducing Trevor Story, who has not hit during his 5 years in Boston, he has not, is no longer a very good defender, strikes out a ton, to introduce him to a lineup where they don't strike out, and that is their greatest strength. They put their bat on the ball, they move the runner over. Trevor Story is not a fit for what they do offensively, and we're just going to let him waltz back in here and take the job? I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, it kind of goes against everything Chad Tracy has kind of brought to this Red Sox team, is that earn it mentality, that small ball, we're going to do things the right way and just kind of grind our way out, the Monasterios, Siegler, Sogards of the world. So yeah, trust me, I'm not clamoring to see Trevor Story play baseball again. In fact, I would be pretty happy to never have to watch Trevor Story play baseball again. But I think because of their roster and that kind of platoon of Monasterios, Siegler, can you rely on those guys? Is Chad Tracy going to be able to pick the right name out of a hat every night? I don't know. But then also, is Trevor Story better than that platoon? I would almost say certainly not.
I don't think he is.
He had a 547 OPS before he got hurt. He struck out 57 times in the 41 games that he appeared in before he got hurt.
And I don't think it's the injury, to be totally honest. And I know, there are a lot of Red Sox fans who would say, well, Trevor Story was your best player last year. Let me see if I can pull up these numbers.
Jarren Duran was one of your best players 2 years ago, so I don't know if that's something that Red Sox fans should hang their hat on. Well, Trevor Story was good.
Yeah, he was at one point before he came to Boston. He was not good last year. I'll pull up the stats here eventually when I can find them, Scaz.
He had, I got him in front of me. So last year he hit 263. He had an OPS of 741. He hit 25 home runs. He drove in 96 runs and in 157 games, which is by far the most he has played since he has joined the Boston Red Sox.
And almost all of those good statistics that you just rattled off there came after June 2nd of last year. Trevor Story's stats after the Red Sox had their first pitch stealing incident and before they had their first pitch stealing incident are eye-opening. And there was a Buster Olney report earlier on this year that when the Red Sox were really struggling offensively in the early part of the year, that the Red Sox were hurt the most by any team in baseball by Major League Baseball cracking down on the antics going on with base coaches, because that's how the Red Sox were stealing pitches, relaying signs, whatever it is. And there are no signs to steal anymore, but they were picking up on grips, whatever it may
Jose
be.
Flores was looking in the pitcher's mitt and seeing what he was going to throw, and then would move or not move based on what the pitch was going to be.
Correct. And Trevor Story could see that as a right-handed hitter. Jose Flores was the first base coach, and Flores would signal to the hitter what pitch was coming. And all of a sudden, once the Red Sox started doing that last year, Story started hitting. His numbers before and after are dreadful. And this year, the Red Sox were not allowed to do that, and Story couldn't hit again. He cannot hit if he does not know what pitch is coming. That is a fact. It's not an opinion. It is a fact. The dividing line in the statistics are undeniable. The guy can't play. He cannot hit if he does not know what pitch is coming. So if we're counting on Trevor Story, I say good luck, Scaz. Good luck. But I don't want to lump Story in with everybody else, because they do need Roman Anthony. They 1,000% need Roman Anthony. Anthony still has a pretty high offensive ceiling. Not that, he demonstrated that at all at any point this year. And ask yourself this, who would you rather have, Roman Anthony or Jarren Duran playing left field game one of the playoffs? I think the answer is pretty obvious, right?
Yeah, it's Roman Anthony in a landslide. And, I'm not even sure he's that much better defensively than Jarren Duran, but it doesn't matter, because
Duran's not good defensively.
He's not good at anything, really. He's got some RBIs, a couple pops here and there. But, yeah, is it crazy to say they might need Meade, too?
They might. I don't know what they're doing in the middle infield.
That's what worries me, is the middle infield. And I'm starting to get a little worried about the bullpen, too. You have Slayton and Whitlock go down. Eric Miller was good last night. A quick work out of the big fella last night. But we've seen Chapman up and down a little bit this year. And it's just, does it make you rethink they should have added more depth pieces or swung bigger for the shortstop? I think there are some questions that, that Chad Tracy and, Breslow are going to face down the stretch with how this all turns out.
Well, I think the pitching staff is increasingly a concern. It's been the strength of the team all year long, but you trade early for Meade. You get no return on Meade to this point. That, in fairness, Early has not pitched for the Nationals and may not pitch for them this year. It doesn't seem like he will. So, you probably wouldn't have had Early. But I did hear Breslow say before the deadline there was a lot of reporting that they needed to add more depth in the pitching staff. They added Miller, which to me is a good move. Anything involving Marcelo Meyer getting the hell out of town was addition by subtraction. They added what appears to be a decent bullpen piece. I still worry about the walks, but he has not walked guys here. And if he doesn't walk guys, he doesn't get hit because his stuff is nasty. But I do worry about the pitching staff. Bennett has obviously hit his wall. Sandoval is who he is. You're going to see him today in this game. He's kind of a hack. So you feel good about your first three in your rotation right now. I don't know when Crochet is coming back, if he's coming back, and if he does, he's probably not coming back as a starter. Whitlock's down with an elbow. That worries me. Slayton's down right now. I don't know how great I feel about Chapman at his age. He's not the pitcher he was last year. It feels like he's been fighting some stuff all year long. So the pitching staff is a concern. There's still a lot of questions that need to be answered about the Red Sox between now and then. You want those Trevor Story stats, by the way?
I got another question for you, too.
Sure.
We can do on the other side.
I also have a question.
Okay. All right. I'll give you the Trevor Story stats, and then you can ask your questions. We'll think about it during the break. Trevor Story last year, before June 2nd, again, the Tyler Anderson incident with the Angels was the first known pitch relaying incident the Red Sox had last year, which happened on June 2nd. Before June 2nd, Trevor Story hit .222 with a .563 OPS, 7 home runs, and a 31% K rate. After June 2nd, .286, an .818 OPS, 18 homers, and he cut his K rate down 7% to 24%. Coincidence? I think not.
Let's get the Joe Murray sniffer out on that one.
That's the guy you want back?
No, I don't really want him back. I'm just afraid they might need him back.
Well, that's one of my questions. Who wants him back? Obviously, they're working him out to be back at shortstop. Andrew Monasterio, despite the fact that I don't have a ton of belief in him, has been performing when the Red Sox need him to. He's a sieve at defense, but I don't care about that stuff. He's hitting when they need him to hit. Who in the Red Sox is like, we need to get Trevor Story back out there? He's not a Craig Breslow guy. He's definitely not a Chad Tracy guy. I am fascinated by who is giving the directive of we need to get him back out there when you've been fine, you've been okay platooning with Siegler in Monasterio, and you're going to. This is the thing that I heard so many Red Sox fans panicking about. I'm worried about the chemistry. I'm worried about what this is going to be when we start bringing these guys back. Well, don't you think the front office and the managerial staff would be aware of this? So who is pushing to have Trevor Story rejoin this team and start getting reps at shortstop again?
Remember somebody telling me when they fired Cora and Story came out those comments, and I was pounding the table saying, DFA this guy, you don't need him anymore. And somebody who would know reached out to me and said, well, you got to understand Story is a leader on this team. And I said, that's the problem.
Based on what?
Yeah. If Trevor Story is your leader, you've got issues. So I do worry about introducing him into a clubhouse where he does have some pull. He's a guy who's never done anything, never accomplished anything, is obviously entitled, and expects to be handed things. Story was handed things by Alex Cora for years and years and years. He was a protected class, and I don't know why he is still a protected class. It makes no sense to me. Again, when and you would say, well, he was your best player down the stretch last year. I've got the reason for it, and you're not allowed to do that anymore, so he can't hit. You're telling me the reason Trevor Story didn't hit at the beginning of this year was just because he was hurt after not hitting for 4 years in Boston? I get it. He's had a lot of injuries, but the guy's never hit outside of Colorado, and when he doesn't know what pitch is coming. It's really that simple. You have a question, Scaz, you wanted to ask?
Yeah, maybe we could do it on the other side.
Let's do it.
Does Adley Rutschman stink?
617-779-0985. I have an answer for you. We'll get to that next.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
College experience in about 15 minutes. We have intern Cece, who's been helping us out all summer long. It's her final day, and she's going to do our headlines today, which is awesome.
I can't escape Ithaca College. Luke Fitzpatrick was back in last week. The Ithaca's everywhere. The pipeline is strong.
Very, very strong. Almost as strong as this Red Sox rehab pipeline. Garvin asked us before the break, and I know you had a question as well. Garvin asked us during the break, he said, why are they sending Roman Anthony to Worcester? Why are they sending him to Portland and not Worcester? And I think the answer is very simple. They want him to earn his way back to the big leagues. He was sent to Baseball Siberia, Fort Myers, for a reason. And it's like, we're not just going to hand it to you. You're not just going to go to Worcester, live a AAA lifestyle, which is, you've been to Polar Park. It's a great place. The facilities are wonderful for the players, and the facilities are very good in Portland. Don't get me wrong, but if you're, put it this way, they're going to Syracuse. They're probably busing to Syracuse, but you fly to a number of destinations in AAA. The hotels are better in AAA. There's just everything's better in AAA. I think they're making him earn his way back, and it's a statement. It's like, you're not going to go one step away from the big leagues. You're going to go 2 steps away from the big leagues, and that's what we're going to do. To me, I think it's pretty obvious.
I think how they've handled Roman Anthony, throughout the whole year has been, pretty obvious in that they, kind of have an issue with Roman Anthony and how he's gone about things, sending him to Baseball Siberia, shipping off Marcelo Meyer. There's enough smoke there that there's something. It's not, completely just that he's rehabbing. No, he had to get his head screwed on, a little bit. And I think that's a good thing. The older guys, and I did hear Tracy say that, you can't overload one of these, minor league rosters with 3 or 4 guys, which I kind of get, but I do think it says something that Roman Anthony was sent to Portland, and I do think it's because of his road back to the pros. We'll say that.
Craig Breslow did one of his appearances across the street and said something to the effect, I'm paraphrasing, that there is no truth to the idea that Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony were off the field issues, and yet every single move that they have made this year points to the fact that those 2 guys were issues off the field. Marcelo Meyer gets shipped out of here for Mongo, and then you've got Roman Anthony gets sent to Fort Myers in the seasonably warm summer weather that they've been having, and then can't even get a train ticket to Worcester. And I do agree with you, Matt. I think they are making him earn it back. How out in left field, no pun intended, was this kid to the point where you can't even rehab your pinky, wrist, fifth meta, whatever, with your team, and that you have to be in Florida. And then, oh, by the way, Trevor Story and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, they're going to get your spots in Worcester. We're sending you to Portland. Am I crazy for thinking that the messaging on these two kids has just been like an insult to my intelligence? You say there's no issues with them, and yet you're going to make Roman Anthony the face of the franchise, I was told, rehab in Portland because he has to earn his spot back.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously making him earn his spot back, and I think that's good. I wish they would do the same with Story. I do. I think in the end, both players haven't earned it this year, and therefore should, take a step up. And I get it. Story's a long-time MLB veteran. They probably don't want to rankle him. They probably just want to send him to Portland right away. And maybe they think he'll be a positive for Franklin Arias. I don't think he'll be a positive for Franklin Arias. I don't know if Trevor Story's been a positive for any young player. Again, I keep hearing what a leader Trevor Story is. I don't know where the results of that have shown up. Nowhere. Given there were issues between veteran players and young players earlier on this year. I mean, I've heard it. He does his camp story where the infielders go down and they field ground balls with him in Texas.
How's that defense looking?
Not great. No, it was never good. And actually, it got way better the second Trevor Story got hurt, and the second they brought in a whole bunch of people who had nothing to do with Trevor Story. So I'm with you, Garvin. I wish they'd do the same with Story, but I have no problem the way they're handling Anthony. I think this is how they should handle Anthony. 617-779-0985. Scaz, you asked a question before the break. Did you ask the question? I already forget what it was.
Yes,
he did.
I
think it's a great question.
Adley Rutschman, the new Red Sox trade acquisition, who they gave up half their farm system for. Matt McCarthy, is he bad?
Well, he's not good. Can I give you that?
He's been very bad as a Red Sox. Is that okay to say?
Yeah, he has not been great. Let me say this. I stand by everything I've said about Rutschman.
I would still make the trade. I want that known, too. And he might suck, but I don't think he sucks.
No, I don't think he sucks either. I would definitely make the trade because I don't think they really gave up a lot. First and foremost, there's this thought process that the Red Sox overpaid for Rutschman. And I think we apply numbers to, it's easy to do. Oh, well, they traded their third prospect. They traded their sixth prospect. They traded their 10th prospect after the update, the midseason trade deadline update. Harold Rivas was the number 10 prospect, and he was the player to be named later. He was the number 10 prospect, and they sent him in the deal, too, after already sending the number 2, 3, and 6 prospects to Baltimore at the deadline. And that's all well and good. And that's, you say, okay, wow, they really overpaid. Then you ask yourself, what did they really give up? Ianson had a really good year, and he's a legitimate top 100 prospect in baseball. They gave up something in Ianson. Your number 3 prospect, Kyson Witherspoon, was your first-round pick last year, has stunk in single A. He's got a 5 ERA. So the reason he's ranked number 3 in the system is simply put, he was your first-round pick. He looks like a bust. So trade him. Get something for him. Like, that's a good trade if you're using a first-round pick essentially to get Adley Rutschman. I will make that trade 10 times out of 10. Azokar, the outfielder they gave up, the number 6 prospect in the system, is a dime a dozen single-A outfielder. He's not a top 100 prospect. Baltimore likes him fine. Maybe you traded away a 4th outfielder one day. Maybe that's what he is. Okay, would you trade a 4th outfielder for a starting catcher? I would. And this Harold Rivas guy, the player be named later that they gave up, and people are like, oh my God, this deal was already an overpay. Now you're giving up the number 10 prospect in the system. Do you know where he ranks in Baltimore's system according to MLB Pipeline? 26. 26.
So he's not very good.
No. He plays for the Bridge League Red Sox. Have you ever heard of the Bridge League?
Certainly not, no.
It is the old Fort Myers Complex League, the old FSL, the Florida Summer League.
It's the experimental league, right? They're doing
basically rookie ball.
Yeah,
it's like a step below rookie ball. It's actually where I think this is the way it works. I don't even know, and I'm a minor league guy. I think it's so. There's the Dominican Summer League, which is where you send your 16-year-old signees, and then you send them to your spring training facility. and they play essentially spring training games all year long against other spring training teams with a bunch of 17 and 18-year-old kids, most of whom are being introduced to the States for the first time.
These look like joint practices, structured scrimmage games held at a team complex in places like Arizona and Florida.
Yep, and he's hitting 240 in the structured, again, glorified spring training games.
We're going to tell you where we are throwing the ball, and you have to hit it. That's what this sounds like.
That's exactly, it's pretty much what it is. So I get it. You can scream overpay all you want. When you add some context to the prospects, they gave up one real guy in Ianson. I will happily give up one real guy for a guy who I think is my starting catcher. But to answer your question, does Adley Rutschman stink? He might. He might, in the sense that he's not a 3-hitter. Does he stink? It's obviously too strong, but I hated that they just installed him as the 3-hitter right away. He's not that. He's a guy who's in a good year is going to have a 780 to 800 OPS. He's really good behind the plate, and he's a leader, and he's a switch hitter. Basically, you're hoping he's Jason Varitek, a modern-day Jason Varitek. Would you want Jason Varitek hitting number 3 on the 2004 Red Sox?
Never.
If
No.
Jason Varitek were hitting 3 in the 2004 Red Sox, did the Red Sox win the World Series?
No.
No.
Don't even get there.
So that is my criticism. It's not that you traded for Adley Rutschman. It's that you're overselling who he is. He is not a 3-hitter. He will never be a 3-hitter. What Rutschman is he's a really good defender. He's a good clubhouse guy. He's a leader. He's a glue guy, which is what you want your starting catcher to be. And he's one of the better hitting catchers in the game. That doesn't mean he's a great hitter, but he's one of the better hitters at the position. So if you're getting, a number 5 or a number 6 hitter who is lengthening your lineup, is a switch hitter, and is giving you way more than Connor Wong or Carlos Narvaez or any other catcher would ever give you, you will 1,000% take that. Just don't tell me he's a 3-hitter. And that's what the Red Sox are trying to tell me, because they're batting him 3rd. And today they're batting him cleanup because Contreras is out of the lineup. Don't tell me that's who he is. Again, don't insult my intelligence, to borrow a phrase from Garvin. That's not who he is. Don't sell him to me as that.
So is that the
please.
front office? I mean, is Chad Tracy? I know everybody badly wants that interim tag removed from him. Is he allowed to make this move autonomously? I don't think so.
I would think that's a front office decision. That, hey, we're going to bring him in, we're going to bat him 3rd. And there are a couple of reasons to do it. One, I mean, they don't have a number 3 hitter. So that is whether
they don't have a number 1 hitter.
They don't have a leadoff hitter, they don't have a number 3 hitter, they don't have a number 4 hitter, and honestly, Rafael is probably not a number 2 hitter. So in the end, like Rutschman, I get it. They're like, well, we don't have anybody else. So he's just not that guy. He should be batting 5th on this team. I would bat him 5th. I would go Anthony when he's back. Anthony, Rafaela, Abreu, Contreras, Rutschman. That's your lineup right there. 617-779-0985. We will continue. We got an update on the Sports Hub headlines about 5 minutes from now. Intern CC is going to deliver those for you. No pressure. You feeling the pressure? Don't worry about it. Trust me. Nobody listens to the headlines anyway. And yeah, if they listened to the headlines, they would have fired me a long time ago. We'll continue. It's Matt McCarthy and James Scaramuzino hanging out on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 Sports Hub. Sports Hub headlines.
The Red Sox are back in the win column after shutting out the Pirates 4-0 last night. Sonny Gray earned his career-high 15th victory and is just the 3rd Red Sox starter since 2019 to win 15 or more games. Wilyer Abreu hit his 22nd home run of the season, and Andrew Monasterio clubbed a clutch 2-run double to give the Sox a 3-run lead over the home team. Yoshida left early in the 3rd inning with a left hamstring tightness. The Sox are back on the field today against the Pirates to close out the series at 1:35. Chad Tracy announced yesterday that Trevor Story and Roman Anthony officially have their rehab assignments. As Story will play today with the Woo Sox, while Roman Anthony is scheduled to play on Tuesday with the Portland Sea Dogs. After tying their first preseason game against the Colts on Thursday, the Pats were back in practice yesterday and made some roster moves, signing first-year O-lineman Darian Dalcourt and Joe Malkowski. Seahawks corner Devin Witherspoon got paid as he signed a 4-year, $132 million contract with $101 million guaranteed. Now this puts pressure on the Crafts to sign a deal with Gonzalez, as he did not participate in practice yesterday due to an injury. The Pats' next joint practice is on Wednesday with the Eagles. These headlines are brought to you by the 12th annual Gate City Casino Brewfest, taking place next Saturday, August 22nd at Holman Stadium in Nashua, featuring over 100 craft beers, food trucks, and fun for all ages. Ticket prices increase this coming week, so get yours now by visiting GateCityBrewfestNewHampshire.com. I'm CC Cam, Boston Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update in 1 hour. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for letting me do that, guys.
You've got like a great commercial voice too. Like, wouldn't you agree with that, Garvin? Like, she should record spots for us.
Absolutely.
Oh, thanks.
Where's Roger? Let's get her in contact with Roger.
Yeah, no kidding.
No,
Seriously.
I hate listening to my voice back.
We all do.
And every time I hear him, like, man, I don't know if I have a good broadcasting voice.
Yes.
I always like second guess myself about that.
We all do.
So, no, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Did you say Toyota Summer Sales Fest is here? That's what I get. That kind of.
Ooh, yeah. Can you hit us with one of those?
Toyota's. Oh no, all the pressure now. Toyota Summer Sales Fest.
Yeah, you've got like there's something.
That's the cadence.
It's the commercial. Like, you can record commercial spots. There's
Wow,
a career
thanks,
for
guys.
Voice. I mean, until your job, I would say like that would have been a much better job for you 10 years ago, but now that's all going to be AI. So
True.
I mean, you picked a great career path. We just feel good about it.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
CC's been awesome to us, helping us out this summer. I think you're the first weekend intern we've basically ever had here at the station.
Really?
And you've been a huge help to Garvin.
Probably
You've been
the
a huge help to me.
first intern that's been allowed to run the equipment. Also, I don't think we have a lot of interns in here pressing buttons on the main board.
It's worked.
Yeah, thank you, McCarthy, for bringing me in and getting me back in here. And Ryan, for everything you've taught me. It's been a great summer.
Well, it's been great to have you. So CC's going to do
you.
our updates for the rest of the day. All right, Garvin needs help. What we got going on here today, Scaz? You just flipped over to some soccer match?
I mean, this is, even for me, this is...
Degenerate City?
Yeah, it's not even a real game. It's like, basically their preseason kind of warm-up, get people back in the building. Arsenal up 2-0 on Man City. Halftime's already, your second half is starting, guys are just walking out of the locker room. Not really a serious affair over there.
It's kind of like preseason football.
Exactly,
Except
yes.
This appears more serious. This appears like real football, where I would say preseason football is the definition of fake football.
Could be where
this
Andy
game's not going to
Borgallis-
end in a tie today. I will say.
No.
Arsenal's going to hold on to this win here, and they're not going to end this
Say
in a
that's
tie.
fair, yeah.
Unlike preseason football. Very happy to see that game end in a tie the other day. We didn't need any more of that.
No one hates preseason football more than Matt McCarthy.
I'd give him a run for his money. A 43-minute first quarter is unacceptable in regular football, let alone preseason. Doesn't even matter for a second football. 43 minute running clock. Can we all agree on a running clock in preseason? Or like at the very least, everybody gets a set amount of possessions. These games don't matter. The fans obviously do not care. It's really just the sickos that have been waiting all year for football to start and tell you how great the Hall of Fame game was. I think if you have a set amount of possessions and just kind of do an extension of the joint practices, I think you get more out of those games just from a watching experience.
I couldn't agree more. I wish the preseason had more value than it did, and I say that as somebody who mercilessly mocks preseason football, but that's because I'm angry as a football fan. 15 years ago, there was at least something to kind of take away from preseason football. The starters would play, even in the first game, they'd play a quarter in the first game. The third preseason game was the tune-up game. The fourth preseason game was whatever, and that's always been trash, and it will be trash, and there's no way to make that better. But the third preseason game, the starters would play well into the second half. They'd usually play about three quarters. It was a tune-up game, and it was a good chance to see if you're really ready to go for the regular season. Now, there's none of that. None of it at all.
The dunk contest has more star power than some of these preseason games.
And it's not like listen, do I need to see Drake May? No, because I'm going to see Drake May in a few weeks. But do I need to see the starters? Do I want to And so I guess that means Drake May too. But I want to see something of value where I can accurately judge where I think my team may be as we approach the regular season. And there are increasingly few ways to do that around the NFL, because even the joint practices, the Patriots had one joint practice this week. One. What am I really going to take away from one joint practice? Two joint practices, that's a different story against the Eagles, because I think, the general sense was the Patriots had a good day against the Colts on Tuesday. All right. I want to see the Colts come back out on Wednesday and try to respond. And if the Patriots then beat them on a second day, you say, okay, what I saw on day one was real. May closed practice on Tuesday with a bad pick. Now, Scaz, you know me. I am in the business of criticizing Drake May. I think I'm the only person in town in the business of criticizing Drake May. You want to talk about a protected class?
McCarthy, I got in myself a little bit of trouble one night when Kendra was in, because I said I leaned towards Matt McCarthy's line of thinking in this very topic. I don't know if I'm quite as strong as you are, but he did stink in the playoffs, and I don't know why people just act like that's not true or didn't happen. Well, but I am with you in that. I still think he will be very good. But yes, I'm with you that he a little too protected, that commodity.
Yeah. So, but again, if we go back to last Tuesday, he throws a bad pick at the end of that practice. I'm not going to criticize May for that. It's one pick at the end of one practice against the Colts. Now, if he goes out the next day and has a stinker coming off a bad pick to close practice, then I'll say, you know what? That pick was worth a little something. But that's not worth anything. Conversely, I would also say the Patriots receivers had a good day against the Colts, and that was one of the reports coming out of joint practices. Like, Patriots receivers definitively won the day against the Colts secondary. Well, what stock am I going to put in that if I don't get to see the Colts come back the next day and try and get them back, try and win, respond, compete? It's like camp is about stacking days. We don't even get to stack days at this point. So there are so few opportunities for me to really learn something about anything going on with the Patriots. These joint practices against the Eagles are probably the only opportunity of the summer where I can really put a lot of stock in anything. Like, all right, the Patriots offensive line's been good this summer. Is that just because they don't have a pass rush? Am I going to get to see that against another team on the field or in joint practices? We just don't have as many opportunities, and that kind of sucks.
No, we don't. I think that's why this week could be a huge week for that. You have the Philadelphia Eagles coming to town, and you have an angry group of football players, I would say, on the Patriots and on the Eagles side. Jalen Carter had that quote last week at Eagles practice where he said, I don't start fights at joint practices, I end them. And yes, I would say he does. They get pretty chippy. I would imagine the Patriots with A.J. Brown, there will be some words exchanged. So, hopefully it's listed for them to have joint practices on Wednesday and Thursday with the Eagles this week. And for me, the Eagles at this point, I know they weren't in the Super Bowl last year, but that's as talented of a roster as you're going to come across in the league. And I want to see what that defensive line looks like against the Patriots line. And they also have one of the better offensive lines in the league. I want to see what the Patriots defensive line, can they even sniff Jalen Hurts during this? So I think this is a big week for the Patriots and just kind of getting themselves set up in the right direction.
It is. Until we decide to cancel the second day of practice because the first day was too chippy, and then nobody plays in the second preseason game, or there's a quarter or whatever it may be. I don't like that it's so easy right now in the NFL to just back away from these things. I mean, a few years ago, they ended a preseason game in the fourth quarter because somebody got hurt.
And it has led to bad football. Like,
yes.
The product is worse the first couple weeks of the
doubt.
season because of this. And it feels like an increasing problem where these teams start slow, the football's awful, injuries, all that. But I don't really know what the fix is. Open practice, 7-on-7s is something, they've rumored so they can still sell tickets and stuff like that. More set-up practices between two teams you could sell tickets to. But it hurts the actual product on the field.
The beginning of the year is not good enough. And the end of the regular season also is not good enough because the 17th week and guys are hurt, and you've got more third string quarterbacks out there in the final month of the season than I've ever seen before. But I'm with you, Scaz. I make fun of preseason football, but it's really because I just think it's actually becoming kind of a problem for the sport. Just abolish it. If this is going to be the product you're getting, just get rid of it. And they'll never do it. You know why? Because the league makes money off of preseason football. Not only from gouging season ticket holders, charging them, I believe, the same rate for, Patriots have 2 of these games this year. So season ticket holders, instead of getting a 9th home game, they get an extra preseason game and have to eat that one because, the stands are never going to be full for it because people know the product is not good enough. So not only can you gouge your very loyal, very passionate, deserving season ticket holders over these tickets, people also gamble on the games too. So you're never going to get rid of preseason football games because you can't turn it into a glorified 7-on-7 scrimmage. You can't just say, you know what, joint practices are worth more. We're just going to televise joint practices. We're going to do them in the stadium at 7 o'clock on a Thursday night, and we're going to put it on TV, and we're going to televise the practices. You can't do that because people aren't going to gamble on joint practices, but they are going to gamble on preseason football. It's a problem. I don't know how you fix it other than I think you have to abolish the joint practices. I think you have to get rid of them. I think you have to outlaw them so teams end up playing their players in the preseason. So at least it's a little bit more worthwhile than what we're getting. And I think that would lead to a better regular season product because in the end, the joint practices are as such that, again, if you have a chippy day, we don't just blow the whistle and everybody goes home and we don't go out and do it the next day. Because that has happened, and I don't rule it out happening this week. So as a result, you're hurting the regular season product, which is why you need to fix the preseason product. I think it's such a good point, Scaz. 617-779-0985. We'll continue with this. Want to get into the Christian Gonzalez story as well, the latest with Devin Witherspoon, and looking ahead to this week with the Eagles. We'll continue. It's Matt McCarthy and James Scaramazino. We know him as Scaz here on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sport.
Ryan.
Hey, Matt. What's going on, man?
What's up?
So the idea I have here, maybe to incentivize some of these teams and players to play harder in the preseason, is treat it similarly to the NBA Cup, where anybody who participates in the game or plays in the second half of a game gets something like a $50,000 bonus, maybe lower-level coaches who don't get paid a lot of money, because obviously Vrabel and McDaniels don't need an extra $50K, but maybe they'll coach it harder. The players will play harder because they know some of these guys who will never play football again might make $50K, and the product may in turn be better.
Maybe.
Yeah, the NFL is just going to hand out money for the preseason.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. I hear what you're saying, though, Ryan. You have to incentivize ways for the preseason product to become better. There's no way there will be any financial incentive from the NFL whatsoever. Garvin, you're shaking your head back there.
Well, and just to compare it to the NBA Cup, which was really just a move to make players be invested in the early part of the season. I'm sorry, I didn't know I needed to incentivize you to do your job, especially when it's, I don't know, August, September. I thought the incentive would be, and I'm not trashing the point at all. It's just, it's more frustrating that like you would need guys who are probably playing for a roster spot, coaches who have an opportunity to show their preparation throughout the week. Like I thought the incentive would be a job. I didn't know that I actually had to like throw more money at you in order to do the thing that you're out here doing in the first place. It's my same issue with the NBA Cup. It's like, well, maybe we don't need as many of these if I got to start throwing money at you to get you to play harder in December.
I also don't think it's a playing hard thing. I think when guys
about what you're doing.
I think when guys are out there, they compete. Whether it's, the first guy on the roster or the 90th guy on the roster. The problem is guys 1 through about 50 really are not competing in these games because the teams don't want them to. They're protecting assets, which I get. I mean, are you going to throw Drake May out there on brand new turf on Thursday night? I don't want to do that.
I don't want the like third or fourth string pass rushers with an opportunity to, like, if I see the starting quarterback for any team, you better believe I am going to run as hard as possible to try and take that guy's head off. I want to be on game tape. I want my teammates feeling good about me. That's how I would try to get my roster spot. If you're playing all your starters, I'm going out there to take them out.
Yeah, but I also think it's about getting the work in for the starters, and I think there's increasingly less work for the starters. And to Scaz's point, this affects the beginning of the regular season. The beginning of the regular season is not good enough. So it's one thing if I felt like, the NFL and, if I felt like training camp was what it once was and guys were ready to go for the start of the regular season. I just think we've gotten to a point in the NFL where it's accepted that the first 3 or 4 weeks are kind of a joke. They're kind of the preseason. These joint practices are increasingly kind of a joke. And the preseason product that we get on television, the one that you want to watch when you're ready for football, is the biggest joke of the football calendar.
Yeah, I'm with you. The preseason absolutely stinks. It hurts the actual product. And I think the Patriots, I'm glad the field got mentioned and all that, because I think that was part of it as well. Not that Drake May would have been out there if they had a good field, but it just kind of speaks to the amateur kind of aspect of all of it, of preseason football. Now the New England Patriots don't even have their field basically ready for the game. That on top of it, just another added layer to kind of the Bush League aspect of the whole thing. And then you wonder about Christian Gonzalez. Is he hurt? Is he holding out? That whole thing. Vrabel seems to be hell-bent on convincing us that he's hurt. He's banged up. Not so sure I believe that. I think if you gave him $102 million guaranteed, I think he'd be pretty healthy. But I think it just kind of goes to the small little ripplings of dysfunction we're getting out of Foxborough. And I don't want to say that it's going to affect them, their record or anything this year. I think they're going to be a very good team, but you're refusing to pay your star players. You don't have the proper surface to start. Hold on. You don't have the right grass, or you had the grass, then you sold the grass, and you got the turf, but it was the wrong turf, and you had to bring in the new turf. You're a billion-dollar organization. Figure out the effing grass. It's the surface you play your sport on with your hundreds of millions of dollars of invested players. So, I'm a little frustrated with how things have gone down there. I wonder how Christian Gonzalez feels if his team is cheaping out on the playing surface. I don't know if he's all that convinced they're going to shell out $102 million guaranteed, and the Seahawks just won a championship and did that. So that's 2 up they have on you now.
To me, there's a bit of a deadline here, as we've talked about what's valuable in the NFL preseason training camp and what's not. The only thing that may be valuable here, Scaz, are these joint practices coming up this week with the Eagles, because the preseason game number 2 is going to be a joke. Preseason game number 3 is going to be the ultimate joke. And then it's the regular season and you're ready to go. And I've said this all along, like, I want Gonzalez out there week 1 having prepared this summer for the season. Now, I'm not saying that he's not ready to go, but like, you have to be out there with your teammates in pads, getting your work in to be ready to go week 1, as ready as you possibly can be ready to go week 1 to defend your conference championship. And if they drag this out, even if they drag this out to the Sunday before the regular season starts, or whatever it might be, a week before the regular season starts on the Wednesday, are you getting the best version of Christian Gonzalez week 1 against the Seahawks on national television, ready to defend your conference championship and ready to try and knock off the team that beat you in the Super Bowl? My answer is no. So I got a deadline for this. Like, he's got to be out there for these joint practices this week with this contract. Otherwise, you've kind of missed your opportunity to get your team as ready for week 1 as you possibly can be.
And I think it's all on the Patriots. I don't put this on Christian Gonzalez whatsoever. His market. His market's been set. He was always going to be one of, if not the highest paid cornerback in the league. You're arguing about guaranteed money and semantics. At this point, cornerbacks can be traded, even when they are paid. We saw it with McDuffie, with Sauce Gardner. It happens very often. It's not a position that you can pay and then not flip if needed later on. So there's really no need for them not, to drag this out any longer, I should say. And we saw last year what they looked like without Christian Gonzalez and what their defense looked like without him. And guess what? It was worse. He's very good, and you need him out there. So having him out there week 1 against the Seahawks, I would say a pretty good game. That opening month of the season is extremely difficult for the Patriots, just my opinion, but you probably want to have your better players on the field for those games as opposed to, upset and angry at ownership during those games and not on the field. So just pay the guy. I mean, what are we doing? You're gonna go out in the media and tell us you're gonna make him the highest paid player. What was that? A month ago at this point? A month and a half ago almost, it feels like. So pay Christian Gonzalez. Drake May sitting there wondering, am I going to have to go through this when my contract's coming up? I hope not. So that's where the Patriots are right now.
It's a revolutionary opinion. You want the best players out there, Scaz.
Stuff.
This is why we have you.
Stuff.
Thank God we have you.
I mean, the Patriots could use a guy like May.
617-779-0985. Paul's in Connecticut. Hey, Paul.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Agree with everything you guys have said so far in regards to the NFL preseason. So I do think there needs to be some sort of incentivized kind of action. And my kind of thought process is, if you think of, a tiebreaker in the NFL, they look at the division record, something like that. Something that they could potentially implement is, maybe your preseason record. So, for example, let's just say 2 teams are 9-8. They're fighting for a playoff spot. One of the tiebreakers could potentially be, hey, that you did better in the preseason. You finished 2-1, and they could potentially utilize that as an option. So, on one side of the coin, more starters having some sort of skin in the game, so that way, you have something to fight for in the preseason. On the other side of the coin, teams not being able to evaluate the talent they might have just because some of those more starters are playing. I think it'll be better for the viewer. It gives some sort of skin in the game for these teams. I agree with everything you guys are saying. I'll sit down and listen, but I appreciate your time here.
I've brought this upon us, haven't I, Scaz? Our ideas to fix the preseason. Did you notice how I didn't present any ideas?
No, certainly not. No, why would you?
I don't have any.
Yeah, of course.
No, I'm not in the business of ideas.
No, that's not what we're here for.
If I've made this very apparent over my 15 years at the station, I have no ideas.
We're here to wildly speculate.
Yes, I'm here to criticize and wildly speculate, and I'm here to say the NFL preseason sucks. I don't know how you fix it. So my attitude would be just abolish it. But that's not going to happen because that's going to cost the owners money. So I guess you can come up with it. I mean, my only approach to fixing it, because I don't think there's anything you can actually do to the games itself other than finding ways to make it more meaningful for the teams to information gather about their players. You have to abolish the joint practices. That's it. That's what you need to do. You got to take that away because that's become the crutch. The coaches and the players would say the joint practices are more valuable than the preseason games, and therefore you get this. It's never going to be a good product. This is like fixing the All-Star game in any sport. You're never going to fix it. So not to say don't even try, but the biggest issue with the preseason games is that the teams truly don't value them because there is no value, because they've taken away whatever value there may have been by applying it to the joint practices, which are increasingly not valuable. So get rid of those if you're trying to fix the preseason. Other than that, don't come up with a gimmick. I don't want your gimmick. Please. Do you have a gimmick, Scaz, or no?
No. I would say the NFL fooled us. They said, hey, we're going to eliminate one preseason game, and then they'll mean more. There'll only be 3 of them. They'll have to be more competitive. You'll have to care about them more. We care about them less, I would say. If anything, it's made the preseason. We used to be like, all right, the 3rd preseason game, that's when we'll get an actual football game. We don't even get that now. We've gotten less preseason and worse preseason. So thank you, NFL.
617-779-0985. More on Christian Gonzalez. We'll get to all of that. Patriots practicing today. We'll have updates on that. We'll continue. It's Matt McCarthy and Scaz hanging out on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Available, I think.
Yeah, but were you hurt? I can't tell you how many times I've been physically unavailable. I'm not present. I didn't show up. That would make me physically unavailable, right?
I would think so.
Times in my life I'm emotionally unavailable.
Yeah. I mean, I think Christian Gonzalez would be much more available if he was paid. Is that fair to say?
I think so. Yeah. I took that comment from Mike Vrabel as, yeah, he's not hurt. He's going to say he's hurt, but he's not hurt. I took that as a bit of a tense comment from Vrabel. He knows what's up. Gonzalez, fell down hard on Monday, whatever it may be, and tapped out. Tapped out not because of the injury, but because of the contract. And now he has the excuse because he went down hard and hobbled off with an ankle or whatever it may have been. Which, by the way, did anybody say it when it happened? Did anybody say at the end of that practice, hey, just something to keep an eye on? Christian Gonzalez, was limping at the end of practice, went down hard, whatever it was. It was a next day thing. Like, oh, yeah, and by the way, at the end of yesterday's practice, Christian Gonzalez went down hard. That's why he's not out here.
I think Mike Reese was the first to point out that was the reason, or at least that's what the team was saying.
Yeah, right. But nobody really saw it happen. And nobody called it out in the moment as, hey, I mean, we have 30 members of the media covering joint practices down there. Not joint practice. We have thousands of people in the public who take the day off from work to go watch a bunch of guys run around in bucket hats because that's essentially what training camp has become. And nobody, not a single person said, by the way, Christian Gonzalez twisted his ankle or went down hard at the end of that practice. Nobody talked about that until the next day. Yeah. Physically unavailable.
Yeah, get the sniffer out on that one. He's undergoing treatment, though. I did see that.
You know who undergoes treatment? Every football player, every day of their lives, they undergo treatment.
I think it's called, just being a football player is undergoing constant treatment. But so now I guess the question for me, Matt, is they've told us he's going to be the highest paid. They told us they made him an offer to make him the highest paid. How much is Christian Gonzalez asking for? We've seen the Devin Witherspoon number, 132 for 4 years, 101 guaranteed. I am always team player over, the organization, billionaires versus millionaires. The players are doing the work. They deserve to be paid. But what is Christian Gonzalez's ask that this is not already done? Because it feels like this is something that should have been a foregone conclusion at this point.
I mean, I've heard that, he's waiting on Witherspoon. This is the reason it's not done. Calm down. It's all about Witherspoon. And to your point, we now have the market. It's $101 million guaranteed. So, Gonzalez wants more, I would argue deserves more. And whether or not we can have a debate about who's a better player, Gonzalez or Witherspoon. But this is the way it works. When you are a player in that category, when you sign at your time, you are next. You reset the market. So now Gonzalez is going to reset the market. What is the difference between Gonzalez and Witherspoon, and how much is too much for Gonzalez to ask for? To me, this would be my target, Scaz. $105 million. $105 million, you get $1 million more per year than Witherspoon. I think that's fair. I think that's resetting the market. It's essentially got what Witherspoon got, but you get $1 million more per year guaranteed. That's what it should be. And if he's asking for more than that, then I would start to side with the team. A little bit, and I'm not side with the team guy at all. I'm always team player over teams and franchises and owners, but we know what the market is. The deal should be easy. You should reset it by $1 million a year, and there you go. If Gonzalez is asking for $115 million, $120 million, yeah, then I think the ask gets a little crazy. My guess is he's not asking for that. My guess is a lot of that is bluster. So that when the Witherspoon deal was eventually signed, he could come in at slightly more than Witherspoon, and, the team can claim a victory that they're not paying him like a defensive end, and Gonzalez can claim a victory that he's getting paid more than Witherspoon, and he reset the market, and that's that. This should be easy to get done. And I do worry that it's not going to get done.
It should be easy to get done. And just doing some quick research here, the guaranteed money is usually what this all comes down to in these deals. Would you like to guess the largest guaranteed money contract the Patriots have ever handed out?
I think it's about $48 to $50 million.
So Milton Williams signed a 4-year, $104 million contract with, I think it was 51, but could be up to $63 million in total guarantees.
Okay, could be up to. That's not a guarantee.
So 51 million, I believe, is the number. They have it listed here as total guaranteed money, 63. So for the sake of this, we'll give the Patriots the benefit of the doubt. Their total guaranteed money in this contract was 63 million. That's the most they've ever given out. The Seattle Seahawks this offseason gave JSN $120 million guaranteed, a 4-year, $168 million extension. And they handed Devin Witherspoon a 4-year, $132 million extension with $101 million guaranteed. That is $221 million guaranteed. The Patriots have never given anyone over $63 million in guaranteed money. So Christian Gonzalez asked, while looking relatively normal and as market for us, to the Patriots, he's asking for $40 million plus in guaranteed money than they've ever handed out to anyone else.
Better pay him.
They better pay him, but
better pay him. Better do it.
That doesn't make me feel very good.
They have never been in the business of doing that. Garvin?
Well, this is my question. Is this, in the post-Bill Belichick era of the Patriots, is this the most significant contract that Robert Kraft will have handed out to a Patriot?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Do you have faith that they can get this done based on what the track record of this team has been?
No, I don't, because if you're coming out and you're negotiating publicly the way that Kraft did by saying we've offered to make him the highest paid Patriot ever. Okay, what does that mean?
That doesn't mean much.
It doesn't. It right. It does not mean
to
much.
Jump on, but like when you say that, my gut reaction based on the talent that this team has allowed to walk out the door, the low balling, the goofing around with guarantees. And you made Tom Brady sing for his supper, the greatest football player of all time, and you wouldn't even negotiate with him, which is why I might be a little skittish as a Patriots fan to go, oh yeah, Mike Vrabel and Stretch and the front office, they're going to do a really good job with this. I think this has to be the most significant contract that the Patriots have dealt in the post-Bill Belichick era. And just to kind of pay it forward a little bit, it'll be interesting to see how this gets done, how the relationships come together, because you're going to have a very important contract coming up with your quarterback here in a year. And this is how the rest of the league tends to operate, and the Patriots have been kind of shielded from that for the past 2 decades.
It's like saying you got the absolute best piece of material at Filene's basement. It's like, well, you still got it at Filene's basement. That's
right.
That's the whole point. So, are the Patriots willing to offer make Gonzalez the highest paid Patriot of all time? Yeah, but to Scaz's point, that's nowhere near what the highest guarantee is right now. I mean, you are $40+ million off in guarantees from where you need to be. 617-779-0985. How about Brian in Holbrook? Hey, Brian.
Hey, guys. So this, once again, we have another cornerback that comes in, resets the market. This is probably, 3 weeks after Kraft made his comments about Gonzalez being the highest paid Patriot or whatever. It makes him, to me, look like an absolute fool. But it also really emphasizes how important it is to stay ahead of the market. This Gonzalez deal should have been done months ago. You save money always by getting ahead of it. Now that guaranteed price number, that just continues to go up and up and up, and it makes it harder for me to believe they're going to sign him. Should have been done months ago.
Hard to disagree, Brian. I do wonder.
No, you should always wait until the last minute and pay the most. Isn't that what you're supposed to do with these things?
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder, though, if Gonzalez wanted to wait it out. I think there's an element of that. There was a price that certainly would have gotten the deal done before Witherspoon. I have no doubt about it. And the Patriots probably didn't want to meet that price. But now it's just very obvious. We know what the market is. You got to pay somewhere north of $101 million. Garvin?
Why practice then? If you know that you're going to be waiting until the last second. And again, if we're running with the premise that Gonzalez was the one that wanted to drag this out, why go out there? Why, try to trash talk AJ Brown and all the histrionics and all the appearances that he made this summer, and then just to turn around when he takes a hard fall and go, well, I'm not. I think
it's a couple of factors. One, practice is nowhere near what it once was.
Fair.
And I think he probably all along had that joint practice circled as, I'd like to have something done by now. Witherspoon was practicing in Seattle, so maybe by not practicing, that would have hurt his bargaining position. The Patriots could have turned around to the exact same agent and said, your guys practicing in Seattle, your guys not practicing here. They could have held that against him. But now I think once it got to the point where a deal was not going to get done, there was kind of a drop dead date for Gonzalez. He went out there seemingly in good faith. Hey, I wouldn't have done it. And I've been wondering the whole time why he's practicing. But now we've gotten to, this point where Witherspoon is done. Gonzalez was not at a walkthrough today. Again, a walkthrough. I mean, that is, again, out there in bucket hats, shorts and a bucket hat. Not even jogging, literally walking through what you're doing. Like, he's not even out there for that. It's a bad sign.
So when do you guys think this gets done?
I'm starting to wonder if it gets done. Are you there, Scaz?
I mean, if it doesn't get done in the next couple days, I'm right there. I think the window is getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah, it's between now and the joint practices. If the joint practices roll around against Philly and he's not out there, then I say, that is the key moment of the summer. It is the key moment of camp.
And just on him practicing, I think part of it was because Witherspoon was practicing as well, and now he's paid. So if I'm Gonzalez, I'm done. You're not seeing me until I'm paid.
Yeah,
I'm not stepping back on the field.
If I were advising him, that's what I'd say. 617-779-0985. I see on the phone lines. We'll take care of you. We'll continue. It's Matt McCarthy and Scaz hanging out.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5.
Boston. Hi, Carl. How you doing?
Hey, guys. Good. Hey, listen, I originally was going to call in and ask about your opinion on the expectations for the offensive line, but after hearing all these gonzo negotiation talks, I'm a little freaked out. And look, I agree with everything you guys have said. This should have been done, right? And we find ourselves now in a position where it's not done. And whose fault is that? In my opinion, it's the team's fault, not Gonzo. Is it? Because I'm like, are you kidding me? You went to the Super Bowl last year and your best player, and you're not going to just give him the money that he is deserved? So, but my broader question is, I'm freaked out that they're going to do this with Drake May. And, that would really bum me out in an extraordinary way. I've been a Patriots fan for a long, long time. I think if they were going to screw around with Drake May the way they're doing it with Gonzo, I'm going to hang up my cleats.
Carl, I'll tell you this. I never trust the Patriots when it comes to paying players. I think they've earned that reputation. They are not going to do this with May. They will not do this. That will get done quietly and reasonably quickly by their standards because he is too important to the brand. Is that naive of me to say, Scaz? Because they will not do this. He is too important to the business as a whole. They know what quarterback means. Everybody, I think they do. I think they learned their lesson.
I hope they learn their lesson. Yeah, well, see, that's kind of the fear. Is this is an organization who, I don't want to say has discredited quarterbacks in the past, but I think they've done just that in thinking Mac Jones was just fine, and the corpse of Cam Newton, who was fine, I guess. But yeah, I'm not sure the value that they have on the quarterback position. I think Mike Vrabel and certainly Josh McDaniels value the quarterback position heavily. I would think ownership values Drake May and his marketability and his talent and all that. But almost the MVP, face of the league in his second season. I would hope they value that, but nothing they've done with that position or with their free agents in general leads me to believe that.
Yeah, I think they learned their lesson with Brady. I think they learned their lesson going to the bottom of the league, and they have found somebody who I think most of us believe is going to be a star for them for the next 10 years. They're not going to mess with that. He's too important to the franchise. He's too important to the brand. They will get that done.
So just kind of to play the other side of it, Bill Belichick was a defensive-minded coach, and he would often get criticized or, put under, the microscope for paying and drafting defensive players and doing that at a much higher priority than the offensive players. Mike Vrabel is here. He is a defensive-minded head coach. Does it mean anything that his top player on defense can't get paid by his organization? Don't you think Mike Vrabel, of all people, a man we've been led to believe has some power, has no power during the third day of the draft? It depends on when you catch Mike Vrabel, how much power he has, how much power the Crafts let him have. But should it give fans any, wariness that the number one player on their defense that they need, Mike Vrabel is a defensive head coach. I'm sure he knows more than anybody the importance of a shutdown corner in today's NFL is as important as it's ever been. They're not paying that guy.
He knew what he was getting himself into. Mike Vrabel was not blind to the way the business is done around here. Mike Vrabel was probably shipped out of town because of the way business was done around here. So no, is Vrabel going to be surprised or hurt by any of this? No.
So then why are they going to pay Drake May if it doesn't change now and he's used to what he was walking into? Why am I as a fan supposed to believe that that's going to immediately change for Drake May?
Because there's a difference between quarterback and everything else, and I think they learned their lesson on that.
Let's hope so.
I hope so too. But again, I mean, and I know they're not the ones selling it, but you can't walk around anywhere in this town without seeing an I Heart Drake May sweater. He is by far the most popular athlete in this town, by far the most important figure in the organization for them and for their future. And I think they understand that.
You just described Tom Brady.
I did
describe Tom Brady.
I did, but keep in mind, there is not a Bill Belichick-like figure in the organization who went to ownership for 10 years and basically pounded the table that they needed to move on from Brady.
Right, but and this is my bigger concern is, do you think that the Patriots finally understand the value around the NFL? Because based on how things are going right now with Christian Gonzalez and the idea that Robert Kraft would come out and say, we want to make him the highest paid player in Patriots history, like it's this great accolade to have to be. It's not hard to be the highest paid player in Patriots history because this is a franchise that historically does not pay people. I don't want to say you're naive for believing it, but I'm not ready to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I don't think anybody should too. And to further illustrate my point, just based on how the negotiations with Devin Witherspoon and Christian Gonzalez have been going, waiting for one guy to set the market just so you can figure out what you're going to do next. Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels are going to be up at the exact same time that Drake May is. So we're just going to wait around and let them dictate what the market is and hope that, they do the right thing by Drake May for all the reasons that you just illustrated, Matt.
Listen, the Crafts are smart people, and they learn from their mistakes. They're willing to admit mistakes, which I think is probably their greatest strength as owners. On the day they fired Gerard Mayo, and when Robert Kraft held that press conference, he said, I made a mistake. And they fixed that mistake. They made an all-time mistake with Tom Brady. They will not make that mistake again. They also are very savvy people, and they know where they can cut corners and they know where they can't. And they tried to cut a corner on quarterback a number of years ago. They're not going to do it again. You're laughing there, Scaz.
Well, yeah, I mean, they just cut some corners on the effing turf. So, I mean, I'm not all that hell bent on, them not cutting corners anymore. But
I'm not saying I would cut corners on the turf, but they know they can. They can cut.
Well, they couldn't though. That was the thing. They had to. They ripped it up and had to put it back in. They couldn't get away with cutting those corners.
It ended up being a mistake, yes, and it probably cost them more in the long run. And I would say maybe that was a deserved outcome for them on that. But
ask the soccer team about how the cutting corners is going to down there.
Listen, they know in the end they can get away without Christian Gonzalez if Drake May is a special player. Yeah, they know that,
and I think that's a fear you should have.
No, and I'm fearful of it too. But that's why you will not have this saga with Drake May that you're having with Christian Gonzalez right now, because Gonzalez is a corner and May is the quarterback. And in the end, I don't see any I Heart Christian Gonzalez sweaters out there. That was being made by apparently a lovely woman in Foxborough in her boutique shop. All of those I Heart Drake May sweaters are coming from her. I guess it was a whole thing last year. I don't see any I Heart Christian Gonzalez sweaters. Now, I do. Maybe I'll make one myself. I'll get a Cricut machine and I'll make some myself. And maybe we should make more. But
it's never too old to get a hobby.
No, it's true. I can always improve my life in every single way. Garvin, I certainly could. But they know there's a difference between quarterback and corner. And that's why this will play out differently. 90 seconds, no commercials. CC Cam's going to get you caught up on Sports Hub headlines. And then we'll be right back with you. I see on the phone lines. Hang tight. It's Matt McCarthy and Scaz hanging out on the Sports Hub.
From the Town Fair Tire Studio, the game is on the Sports Hub.
Goes to the backhand and score! Two-hand slam!
Boston's home for sports.
I love this team!
98.5, the Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
The Red Sox are back in the win column after shutting out the Pirates 4-0 last night. Sonny Gray earned his career-high 15th victory and is just the third Red Sox starter since 2019 to win 15 or more games. Willie Abreu hit his 22nd home run on the season, and Andrew Monasterio clubbed a clutch 2-run double to give the Sox a 3-run lead over the home team. Yoshida left early in the third inning with a left hamstring tightness. The Sox are back on the field today against the Pirates to close out the series at 1:35. Chad Tracy announced yesterday that Trevor Story and Roman Anthony officially have their rehab assignments, as Story will play today with the Woo Sox, while Roman Anthony is scheduled to play on Tuesday with the Portland Sea Dogs. After tying their first preseason game against the Colts on Thursday, the Pats are back in practice yesterday and made some roster moves, signing first-year O-lineman Darren Dalcourt and Joe Mikulski. Seahawks corner Devin Witherspoon got paid as he signed a 4-year, $132 million contract with $101 million guaranteed. Now this puts pressure on the Crafts to sign a deal with Gonzalez as he did not participate in practice yesterday due to an injury. Pat's next joint practice is on Wednesday with the Eagles. These headlines are brought to you by the Colossal Lobster Rolls at the 99. Made with tender North Atlantic lobster with fries and coleslaw. Served with hot buttered or just the right amount of mayo and celery. You gotta love the nines. I'm CC Cam, Boston Home for Sports.
Back to you we go. Barry in New Bedford. Hi, Barry.
How's it going? First off, McCarthy, you're absolutely right on the quarterback. The quarterback position in the NFL is the biggest factor in winning and losing automatically. So they're going to pay him. He's an elite quarterback. They're going to pay him. Now, as far as Gonzalez is concerned, ignore the end number, which is the $104 million. Get to the guaranteed money, but more importantly, get to the what do I get now? It's like what Derek Stanley Jr. got. It's what Witherspoon got. The Patriots, as far as I know, and I've been a fan since the 70s, even the Crafts, have never done deals like this where all that money is pushed up front. It's bonuses, it's roster bonuses, it's all spread out. They're not going to do this, and I've already come to the conclusion that this is going to end whether either he does what Trent McDuffie did, which is you play that fourth year and you see what happens after that, or they trade him within the next 3 weeks. I'm not in panic. I'm not losing my crap because it's a cornerback, okay? By the way, a guy, if you look at his 3 years in New England, when has he played a full season? When has he been, and has he ever been a tough physical player where he's going to throw his shoulder into stopping a running back from breaking a run? That's not Christian Gonzalez. So, like I said, I think it's over. I don't think it's going to. I don't think we're going to get to the point where they give him that big, huge contract like Witherspoon got. And the Seattle Seahawks don't have to pay their quarterback next year, and I think it's a big factor.
Yeah, it's a huge factor, but I'm not going to let the Patriots off the hook for not paying Gonzalez by saying we need to pay Drake May. You can afford both players. You can 1,000% afford both players, and I will not let them off the hook on that. I do think the caller brings up a good point, Scaz. It's not just how much money you get paid, it's when you get paid that money. Money now is better than money later, and there's going to be a massive disagreement, I would imagine, over not only what Gonzalez is getting paid, but when he gets paid. Gonzalez is going to want to get paid now. They're going to want to pay him later.
Yeah, and I have a hard time following the logic there of the caller that where he goes and says, I have zero worries or thoughts about them paying Drake May at all because he's a quarterback, and then goes into great detail on how important that is and how the Patriots have never given anyone guaranteed money or money up front, and they're not going to do it for Christian Gonzalez, but he's dead set that they're going to do it for Drake May, and that kind of confuses me. But on the Gonzalez thing, they know what the number is. This is not new news to them. It was always going to be around $100 million guaranteed. Like, now you finally have it, on paper. So what? He wants more up front. And you mentioned the Patriots have to pay the quarterback as well. They just paid JSN and Witherspoon. Like, you can pay more than one guy. There are teams out there that pay their quarterback and have star players. So I think the media kind of coercion of these contracts and stuff, and the crying poor from the owners, and they got to pay Drake May too. Guess what? They can. Yep. It's $1 billion. The NFL makes more money than any other league. These owners rake in the cash. You don't need to worry about them crying poor. In fact, you should be begging for them to spend this money and pay these guys. You're supposed to pay guys when your quarterback is on his rookie deal. This is when you should have been going out of your way to pay Christian Gonzalez early and paying guys like A.J. Brown and bringing in talent around them. This is how the Seahawks and the Chiefs tried to, build their dynasties, is on the rookie contract of the quarterback. And now you're a little behind that, and this is what happens. Now you're going to have to pay Gonzalez and May and more guys going forward to compete.
I also don't want to hear, too, that the Patriots want to pay Gonzalez down the road because isn't that when you're going to be paying Drake May? So, that's the thing. I keep hearing that the rookie, quarterback contract is so valuable and important, and I guess, theoretically it is. It is a great thing to, not be paying, your quarterback what quarterbacks get paid and all of that. But isn't that even more argument for we want to front load the money? We want to, give Gonzalez his money up front. But the Patriots don't want to do that because if they hold on to that money even for a year, you keep $30 million, in an interest earning account. Scaz, I'm not much of an expert when it comes to money.
No,
but that's 10%. Now I know money needs to be held in escrow. I think ultimately when it gets guaranteed. So that's another reason why you want to wait until the very last minute. Before you move that money from one account to the other. But if you keep $100 million aside and earn 10% interest on $100 million. Now, I don't claim to be much of an expert, but if you've got $100 million in a bank account, in the S&P 500, you go out and buy SPY or VOO and make 10% on that, you're making an extra $10 million. That's pretty good. So you're not only losing out on $100 million, you're losing out on $110 million, according to Math in that scenario.
I'm a big fan of Math.
It's never right. I will say that.
I subscribe to Joe Math at night. We're big fans of Math on the night show. It's not usually good or correct, but we do it often.
617-779-0985. Did you have something you wanted to add there, Garb?
Yeah, do you think that there are more fans that feel like our previous caller to go, you know what, it's not a big deal? Or do you think that, now that we are in this post-Brady, post-Belichick era for several years now, that Patriots fans have kind of woken up to, this is how the rest of the league operates, and therefore my football team should too?
Well, I think now...
Because I agree with everything Scaz just said, by the way. The logic of, it's fine. They're going to take care of the quarterback, and I don't care about the cornerback. I don't understand that. I don't understand why you would feel good about, they'll take care of Drake May because they've always taken care of the quarterback, and then also in the same breath go, I don't care if they let people tell me, people who know way more about football tell me that Christian Gonzalez is one of the best, if not the best corner in football, and you're gonna screw around with him more than you already have?
When I say that they're going to pay Drake May, and I'm not worried about that, that is not me letting them off the hook for not paying Christian Gonzalez. Those are two different things. They need to pay Christian Gonzalez. You are defending a conference championship. You are trying to establish yourself as a annual Super Bowl contender. That is something the Patriots can be. The AFC is down. You have a quarterback who, most people in this town, I'm not one of them, but most people in this town feel like, can, make you, a contender for a Super Bowl every single year. And we're in the business of making our team worse. Like, because we're not going to pay Christian Gonzalez? Come on. I'm completely out on that. I just do think they're going to pay May, and it's not going to be, frankly, that much of a fight because I don't think they have any choice. And it's too bad for the overall business. They can get away with it. They can get away with not paying Gonzalez. I'm not saying I want them to do that, but they will make the argument that we have a good quarterback and he wanted too much money and it'll be Deion Branch all over again. They can get away with that. They cannot get away with doing that with Drake May next year. There's no way. No way. 617-779-0985 will continue. It's McCarthy and Scaz here on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports, 98.5.
Missing from walkthrough today. Landry, Schooler, Holmes, Brown, Dixon, Barmore. Oh, yeah, and Christian Gonzalez, too. That probably should add him in there. To you, 617-779-0985. It's our guy. Oh, my God. Jesus. Kenny G in Atlanta. What was that? Has Kenny ever done that to you?
No, he's usually got the sweet tones of Kenny G down there. Not used to that.
Should we try this again?
Hey, gotcha. Hey, guys.
Kenny, what's up?
Can you hear me?
We got
you. Can you hear me? Hey, hey, listen, my apologies. I got this new headset. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
How y'all doing?
We're hanging in there, Kenny. How you doing?
Yeah, y'all my guys. Hey, listen, I'm loyal and I'm listening. Here's what I want to say, right? I always start off with talking sports is just like life. I run my own business. You got no choice but to play Drake May. So I'm so not worried about that. Drake May is the business. So you cannot do, that's not even a conversation to me. Yes, he's going to get all his money, all of it. With Christian Gonzalez, this is how I feel. I'm glad that Witherspoon went because now if I offer him $1 million more, $2 million more, or just as much guaranteed money, that's going to be on Gonzalez. So I expect, honestly, I'm optimistic. I think Kraft has kind of changed his way after Belichick. I think this gets done as well this week.
Yeah, I don't put any of it on Bill Belichick. The whole, Bill didn't want to pay players, and that's why they didn't pay players. That has nothing to do with Bill. That has everything to do with owners. Owners write the checks. I think Bill was happy to not pay players because he felt like that gave players power and control. So I think Bill and Robert were very much in lockstep on that. But make no mistake about it. Bill Belichick was not the reason the Patriots have never paid anybody more than $60 million guaranteed.
No, certainly not. I'm also kind of stunned. Where are all these optimistic Patriots fans coming from that are so sure they're going to
stunned as you?
They're going to be handing out
optimistic
cash.
Patriots fans. Scaz, you've been around the business a while. Patriots fans are very optimistic.
For like financial reasons, though. Like that's the whole thing. You could get away with this crap for 2 decades because you were the greatest human eraser of all time. You can't operate like that anymore. And look, if Kenny and other people think that Robert Kraft and the Kraft family have earned the benefit of the doubt based on their last couple of off seasons or by firing who was obviously a guy not ready to be a head coach in Gerard Mayo, okay, I cannot back that line of thinking based on things they have not done yet and have not historically done.
Well, how about the line of thinking that he has? Because I do think it's an interesting one because we've said today that it's on the Crafts. It's now on them. And you brought up that, we're going to get the reports that he's asking for too much money. I do like when Kenny says that we have the number with Witherspoon now. If they offer him $1 million, a couple million more than that, how does he, turn that down? It would make him the highest paid guy. They have that number. Where do you think the Crafts are and Gonzalez are on that? Do you think that's because I do think, that is a leverage play the Crafts have that they didn't have before. If they wanted the number out there, some would say you don't want it out there because you automatically have to make him the highest paid guy in the league. But also, if he was asking for 110 and now you see Witherspoon got 101, well, now you're like, hey, let's come down to 105. Let's come down to 102 even. So where do you think the Witherspoon contract really does play into Gonzalez?
My guess is the Crafts and the Patriots were at about $100 million. But the money was delayed, and it's not really guaranteed. It's close to guaranteed, but it's not truly guaranteed. And if you're Christian Gonzalez, you want it fully guaranteed. So whether you play or not, you get hurt, whatever it may be, the Patriots love per-game roster bonuses. My guess is that they made in their opinion, they made the money easy to obtain only if you're on the roster, only if you play. So they had the opportunity to save money if the player gets hurt. This is how the Patriots have done business forever. It's the per game roster bonuses, which essentially you have to be healthy to get your money. And if you're Christian Gonzalez, you want to get your money whether you're healthy or not. You go out there, you break your leg, all of a sudden you're not getting your full $100 million. You're getting $80 million. You're getting $75 million, whatever that may come down to. And I'm just making that money up there. That would be my guess, Scaz, is that, they were in the ballpark of where they needed to be, but the money wasn't truly fully guaranteed. They would say it's guaranteed, but I don't think Gonzalez or anybody else would say it's guaranteed.
Yeah, and that's what really matters is to Gonzalez, what is the guaranteed money? And look, I think I believe they pay him. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I think this gets done, even though I am skeptical and I do wonder what Drake May sees through all this. I do think it gets done, but if it's not done by the end of this week or like you said before joint practice, I think that's when you really start to worry about this dragging out into the season.
I don't worry about Christian Gonzalez missing a walkthrough today.
No, I don't think anybody
What
should.
does that mean at all? I don't worry about Christian Gonzalez missing preseason games. I don't care about that. I worry about Christian Gonzalez missing the only thing that probably matters this summer, which is the joint practices against the Eagles.
I'm wondering, it'll be very interesting to see how much, and I heard Jim Murray bring up this point as I was departing yesterday. If it's, we're talking, okay, 101 million guaranteed for Devin Witherspoon. Okay, can we get you for 104, 105? At what point do people turn? I can't even ask the question because we've already heard people say, I don't care if they pay Christian Gonzalez. At what point does it now fall back on the player based on, okay, we're going to give you a couple more million, but this is what we can do, and he continues to hold out?
Yeah, so and I guess my question to all of you would be, how much is too much if you're Gonzalez to ask for?
So can I thought Tom Curran, he was on Early Edition a couple of days ago, had some interesting insight as far as what might be the hold-up point for where Christian Gonzalez is. This is from the 13th.
Okay.
So what's the end game?
What's the end game is very simple. In my estimation, what my understanding is, Christian Gonzalez does not want his contract to be obsolete within 7 months. When the new league year comes and the salary cap goes from 301 to 330 million, the first corner who comes up under that new cap is going to sign for 34, 35. So what Christian Gonzalez would like is not to be treated as if he's at the table in 2026, but be treated as if he's at the table in 2027. And he'd prefer for his contract to not be obsolete in 2028 either. So the idea is he wants a bump to get him into a percentage realm that will keep it consistent in 27 and 28, which is probably $37 million, which for the Patriots, if they make that bump next summer, when they've done that and given that kind of a bump to a player after his third year, Drake May is going to come and say, well, you gave him a 17% bump and I'm better than him, so I should get a 20% bump. So that means Mahomes makes 664, 13 is 10% of 20% of 64. So it's $76 million. Yeah. You can't set the precedent. So we can get into what Robert Kraft did and what Christian Gonzalez is doing on social media. But the essence of the argument is, should Christian Gonzalez be paid like he's a free agent in 2027 right now?
And this is where I will side with the team. My answer is no. You're negotiating for a contract in 2026. This is your time to be up. No. You should not do that.
Should have stayed in college an extra year if that was going to be the thing that was so important.
Okay, so I would also say he has every right to ask for the money now. He should want the money now, and the Patriots should give him the money now. But Witherspoon has set the market. You now reset it if you're negotiating in 2026. If I'm the Patriots, I think they have every right to say, and I'm not in the business of defending the team, but in this one I will. If they say you want to be paid like it's 2027, okay, then we're going to wait until it's 2027.
I like Christian Gonzalez. I think he's a hell of a football player.
That is very brave of you to admit on the radio.
I think he's a hell of a football player. I think he's a little crazy with this one. Devin Witherspoon is a year older than Christian Gonzalez. He was drafted 5th overall. Christian Gonzalez was drafted 17th overall. Since they've been in the league, Christian Gonzalez accolades are 1 second-team All-Pro, 1 Pro Bowl. That's it. He went to the Super Bowl. Devin Witherspoon is a Super Bowl champion, second-team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler. I would say those are better. It's 3-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion, and that second-team All-Pro. He was drafted 10 spots higher. I'm not sure where the basis for that jump in pay is. And I think Christian Gonzalez is special. I think he's a top-of-the-market corner, but I'm not sure where that much extra money is coming in.
My guess is it's a negotiating tactic, and Gonzalez comes off of that ask. That would be my guess. I would also say, Scaz, everything you just laid out, if I'm the Patriots, I'm saying the exact same thing to Gonzalez. I'm arguing that you are a step below Witherspoon. I'm arguing that Witherspoon got $33 million a year, $101 million guaranteed. You get $32.8 and $100 guaranteed, whatever that money comes out to. I'm giving you slightly less. Gonzalez is saying, I want to be paid like it's 2027. I want to reset the market. And my guess is, if both sides are smart, they come to an agreement, $105 million guaranteed, $34 million a year, whatever, that ultimately comes down to. Slightly more than Witherspoon. Gonzalez comes off his ask, and Gonzalez gets paid now instead of having to wait a year. But I think it's a ridiculous ask to ask for something next year. And that is where and if he digs in on that, I'll criticize him for that. If he wants to be paid $115 million guaranteed and totally reset the market, instead of just a slight reset of the market, then I'll criticize the player. I will. My guess is it's negotiating, and he's willing to accept a little bit more than Witherspoon. My guess is the Patriots aren't close enough yet on that. And I don't think this gets done in the next day or two. That's how I feel. 617-779-0985. We'll continue. It's Matt McCarthy and James Scaramuzino here on the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
I think it's unrealistic for him to try to set the market for 27 and 28. He hasn't even put in a full season yet. He's not very physical. And when you think of the other guys ahead of him, there's, obviously there's Surtain Jr., there's Stingley. I would say Witherspoon's a step ahead of him too.
Okay, so would you not pay him?
His contract would be in the right place.
They're
not going to pay him. I think he'll get franchised twice, and then we'll trade him.
Is that how you'd do it if you were them?
I wouldn't want to do it that way. I wish we could pay him and he would take something reasonable, but I just don't see it working it out. I feel like if his position is he wants to be, the highest paid guy for the next 2 seasons, I just don't see that being something reasonable we can do.
Okay, well, then you have to get rid of him. You have to trade him. Or, you drag it out, but you're not going to get the best version of Christian Gonzalez. This is what I don't like that argument, Scaz. It's like, well, he's not really worth it. Okay, well, he's going to be worth it to somebody else. So, and he knows he's worth it. We can debate whether you can say he is not as good as Witherspoon. He doesn't tackle. He doesn't do this or that. Okay, well, in the end, his market value around the NFL is probably Witherspoon or greater, and he's going to reset the market because that's just the way it happens around the league. So if you don't feel he's worth it, then you have to get rid of him. That's the way it is, because somebody else will pay him that.
Yeah, if you don't think he's worth it, you're wrong, because he is worth that. That's what he's going to get paid. And also, to the Patriots franchise tag, they haven't used the franchise tag in 6 years. The last Patriot that was franchise tagged was Joe Thuney. The only Patriot to be tagged twice, I believe, is Vinatieri. I mean, you're going back to guys like Wes Welker, Logan Mankins, Vince Wilfork, Matt Castle was franchise tagged at one point. Like, it's not something they've really done in the post-Belichick era. I don't think that's the route they would take. If anything, I mentioned a little earlier, but you can pay a cornerback and trade him.
Yep.
You can get first-round picks for Christian Gonzalez. So, to me, that's why there's really no reason for them not to pay him. It's not as if you're going to pay Christian Gonzalez and all of a sudden his value is about to plummet. We've seen Trent McDuffie, Sauce Gardner. Like there's countless guys around the league, corners that have been paid big money and then traded. It's kind of common practice in the NFL. So I think he does end up getting paid, and he's not quite at Witherspoon and stuff. I think if you're in Gonzalez's camp, he's a little bit younger and he's much bigger than Witherspoon. So I think if he wants to view himself, I don't make tackles, I'm a shutdown corner kind of thing, those guys get paid too at the top of the market. So I would just, I don't think he's getting franchise tagged.
And if that's the route you go, you are actively hurting the 2026 Patriots in the process, because you will not get the best version of Gonzalez. You will get the version of Gonzalez that is sitting out training camp right now, sitting out preseason games, sitting out joint practices because he hasn't been paid yet. You will get the version of Christian Gonzalez that makes business decisions. And I would argue, and I think the team might argue, that he made a business decision at the beginning of last year with the soft tissue injury, and Mike Vrabel was not happy about that. And I don't think the organization was happy about that. And you did not get the best version of Gonzalez until the playoffs, because he started the year out and was, not the same player, and maybe that's because he didn't have camp. He wasn't ready to go. I'm not questioning his effort. I'm saying he wasn't, at full speed. He wasn't at 100% because he was not out there during the summer getting all the work in that any player needs to get in to be 100% ready to go for week 1. And by the time he returned in week 5, there was a ramp-up period. I do not want a ramp-up period for Gonzalez when you're trying to defend a conference championship. I do not want that. You can't have that. This is a much tougher schedule this year. He needs to be ready to go for Seattle. So if you want to mess around with the contract, knowing that you can hold the franchise tag over his head, fine. You're just going to hurt the current team in the process, and that's not ultimately worth it to me. How about Joe in the car? Hey, Joe.
Yeah, Christian Gonzalez, I just wanted you guys to know, the Patriots will always be here. Christian Gonzalez, the sports media, I got to tell you, if you're going to tell me right now that he had a great season and playoffs last year besides 2 great plays he made, you guys are actually fooling the listeners, because he did not play like a number one.
So you don't want to pay him?
No, I would not pay him because I'll franchise him.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, this is what the Patriots do, though. You know what I mean? Like, we're like, everybody's acting like we're surprised and we're shocked. Patriots were on and on and on. When contracts came along, if they didn't want to pay you, you were gone.
They don't want to pay anybody, Joe.
Exactly. That's my point. So but on the other hand, do I want to have him on a team? Of course I want to have him on a team.
No, you don't. You don't want to pay him. You can't have it. You can't have it both ways on that, Joe. You don't want to pay him, so you don't want him on the team. You can't have it both ways.
It's not that what I'm saying. I don't want to pay him. Listen, what I'm saying. I don't want to pay him what he thinks he's worth.
Well, he is worth that.
No, he's not. He's not worth the number one cornerback.
Well, then he's going to go away, Joe. You're not getting the point. Like, you think he's not worth that money. That's fine. The NFL does. So that's the reality of it. You cannot have it both ways on this. Well, I don't want to pay him. He's not worth that. Well, then you don't want him on the team? No, I want him on the team, just not at what he wants to get paid. Well, congratulations. I mean, that's not how reality works. Welcome to the real world on this one, Joe. Is that like every Patriots fan you've ever heard? Am I jumping down his throat too much there?
No, I think you took it kind of easy on him, to be honest, McCarthy. I don't really understand that logic of thinking at all. Christian Gonzalez stinks. We don't want to pay him, but I'd like him on my team because he's not that bad. He's just not the best corner in the league. So, yeah, we should give him like a little bit of money, but not what he's worth or what anybody else in the league or the market or, anybody of his age and or talent has ever been paid. We shouldn't do that.
You might be right. Better in the Super Bowl than your quarterback did.
Yeah, you might be right. Gonzalez might not be the best corner in the NFL. Witherspoon might very well be better than him.
Patrick Surtain, Stingley. Guess what? You need one of them.
Yeah.
You can't just say we don't want any of them.
Stingley is probably better. Surtain is better. And you know what doesn't matter? Whether those guys are better or not.
Yes.
Because it's when you're due to get paid and you're in that category, rank him wherever you want. You want to rank him 1, you want to rank him 5, whatever it may be. Rank him wherever you want. He's going to get paid as the number 1 guy. That's the way it is. Because when it's your turn to get paid, you reset the market. So you don't have a choice on this.
Right, so you're telling me that Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert weren't the best QBs in the league when they got the most money?
Yeah.
You're telling me that Mike Conley, when he was the highest paid player in the NBA, he wasn't the best player in the league? That's how it works. That's stunning to find out, I think, for some callers. But yes, when your contract's up and you have leverage, you get paid.
Yep, it's the way it goes. So you have you have 2 choices. You pay him or you get rid of him. And I guess option 3 is you don't pay him, you string it out, and you don't get the best version of Christian Gonzalez. So I don't know what that's worth either. To get a first rounder for him a year from now, 2 years from now, when you try to franchise the guy, like, okay.
As a distressed asset, by the way, because now if you put him on the trade block, you know that there is no agreement to be made. And if I'm the other 31 teams, I'm not going to give you a first round pick. I'll give you a second. Maybe I'll give you a second. I'm not going to pay. You're not going to pay him what he wants. I might, but I'm definitely not going to bend the knee and throw a first round pick at this guy when I know for sure that you're not interested in bringing him back.
I also like the argument too. Well, this is what the Patriots do. Does that make it good?
No. In fact, has been the last hour of this show. It's like, no, these are the cycles that you're trying to break. You're the new Patriots in the post Tom Brady, Bill Belichick era. You are now on par with the other 31 teams. You do not get to play the value game that you have been playing for the last 20 plus years. It's over.
617-779-0985. I see on the phone lines. We'll continue. It's McCarthy and Scaz.
Boston's home for sports, 98.5.
How about Pete and Pembroke? Hey, Pete.
Hey, what's up, McCarthy? Hey, Scaz, how's it going?
Hey,
so I've been doing some thinking on the back porch today about this, Devin Witherspoon situation here with Gonzo. If it's not done in the next couple of days, as former team or being on, his teammate, do you guys think people are going to start to get pissed off? He's supposed to be out there busting his behind just like everyone else. He's not been out there. It's kind of getting a little theatrical. Curious what you guys will think about that, or what you guys think the teammates will think. At some point, supposed to be a team leader. You got to be out there. Yeah. I'll hang up and listen. Thanks, boys.
See you, Pete. No, teammates will not hold it against him because they understand you have one chance in the NFL to make your money, and if you can make that type of money, you go get it.
Yeah, I think if anything, maybe this is just, being a player over team guy. If anything, I think it almost makes them look, less favorably at ownership and management. You're saying, if Christian Gonzalez can't get paid, how the hell am I going to get paid? He's way better than me. He's our best defensive player, maybe Milton Williams. But if you're a fringe player on the roster or another guy, I don't think you're saying, Christian Gonzalez should really be out there. I think you're saying, man, if they're not going to pay him, how the hell am I supposed to get a contract?
Players stick together when it comes to stuff like this. A rising tide lifts all boats. Gonzalez gets paid. It's better for everybody else in the business. That's for sure. Richard in Rhode Island. Hey, Richard.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Listening to you is very, very interesting. So I got a couple of insights. First of all, I think he is going to get paid, and I think he'll get paid more than Witherspoon. But if he's holding out for 2027, 2028 money, then I think that the Patriots have every reason to be very skeptical about paying him that type of money. McCarthy, you talked a little while ago about money in escrow, and putting in escrow, you can earn 10%. I don't know what Gonzalez is making now, but let's just say he gets offered $34 million and he doesn't take it, so he's going to get paid next year at the current value. And again, I don't know if he's making $20 million, what he's making. So let's say it's $14 million difference.
Less than that.
Let's put that money in escrow at 10%. That's $1.4 million, right?
Yeah.
So you always have to make business decisions. There's always a way to mitigate these decisions. I'll give you an example. I'm a little bit older than you guys. I'm a lot older than you guys. So I had to make a decision about 4 years ago if I should take my Social Security or if I should wait till age 70 to get the maximum amount. Mm-hmm. Well, when I did take it because, number one, I don't know if I'm going to be alive at age 70. Number two, I'm foregoing $40,000 a year for 4 years. That's $160,000. So to make an extra $5,000 by waiting that much time, you can do the math. It's going to take many, many years to make that up. So these are all business decisions. And on another note, I think he's a good player. I don't think he's a great player. The Super Bowl, he made some highlight plays. If a couple of those balls were thrown a little bit better, they would have been touchdowns, especially that one going into the end zone.
No, I hear what you're saying on that, Richard, and we'll let you go on that. You can make the argument that Gonzalez is not worth the money. If you want to make that argument, that's fine, but you have to make a decision to me on that now, because you don't want to be getting a lesser version of Christian Gonzalez. You want to capitalize on the asset and go out and get 2 first-round picks for him. Go out and do that. Now, I'm not doing that because I want this team to win, and I want this team to win now, and the best way for this team to win now, whether or not and we can debate how good he is, whether he's the number 1, the number 5 guy, if he's a little overrated, that's fine. I think it's not debatable that he helps the team. And therefore, I am paying for that, and I'm paying for that in this moment. I am paying for that now because that gets the most out of Christian Gonzalez now. Now is always better than the future.
A big fan of now. A huge fan of now. Christian Gonzalez's 2026 base salary is $2.259 million.
Yep.
I wouldn't be playing for that if I was Christian Gonzalez.
Nope.
I don't blame him one bit. I understand the caller's sentiment that, he has a contract, you have to weigh the pros and cons, all that, but his salary cap hit this year is $4.8 million. That is pennies.
There's a massive difference between $2 million and $32 million.
And how about $100 million guaranteed? Yeah. I'd say a slight. They're not a math guy, but yeah. I think we can do that one.
How about Nick on the road? Hey, Nick.
Hey, what's going on, McCarthy? How are you doing today?
What's up?
So my big concern about this whole Christian Gonzalez thing is not about Christian Gonzalez. It's about when Drake May becomes eligible for an extension. So if they're struggling between, paying Christian Gonzalez $35 million or whatever he's going to get, what's it going to be when Drake May becomes eligible and, he becomes eligible for a contract like Pat Mahomes has, where he's getting paid $64 million a year? You think the Crafts are going to want to pay him?
Yeah. We've had that debate for the last about hour of the show. I might be naive. I think they will pay him. I don't think it'll be this. I think it's different when it's the quarterback and they learn their lesson on Brady. But Scaz and Garvin do not feel that way.
I want to feel that way. I hope to feel that way.
I wish you felt that way.
I am skeptical of them paying him because he mentions Mahomes and the $64 million. It's going to be 70 plus for Drake May. I don't think he's going to come in and be like, I'll take 65. No, Drake May is going to get $70 million plus dollars, I think, a year. And I think the Crafts, like you said, I hope they've learned their lessons. He is not Tom Brady. He will never be Tom Brady, but he's as good as you could have hoped for in the the replacement of Mac Jones and Cam Newton. So you have to make him the top priority. And look, I get the argument that the cornerback and the quarterback is much different. And, Drake May being out there is far, far more important than Christian Gonzalez being out there. I just wonder, because of history and because of the precedent they've set as an organization, I don't have that, assumption or that hope that this is going to get done quickly and quietly.
If Robert Kraft comes out a year from now and goes, we want to make Drake May the highest paid quarterback in Patriots history, I might burst into tears.
How about Josh in Boston? Hey, Josh.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Want to start off by offering my condolences on the loss of Jeremy. After hearing Joe speak about him, it sounds like he was truly a remarkable person.
He was the best. We're going to miss him very much, Josh. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate it.
Of course. Getting into football, first of all, professional athletes, it makes me sick how much they get paid, but that's digressing. I think there's another school of thought as far as Gonzalez and how it could play out. If you think about it, he's under contract through the 2027 season. So by him not giving them his best self, he's really hurting himself in the long run. You don't think that he would come out there and try to show out and show them that, you guys messed up, I am worth this, and then demand a trade at the end of the season or re-sign with another team for more than he's asking the Patriots for?
I understand what you're saying on that, Josh, and we appreciate the kind words. I think he's already demonstrated to the NFL his value. The market has determined where Gonzalez is going to be. I mean, Sauce Gardner kind of went out there and made business decisions, and he got paid. And he got traded, but he got paid. So for Christian Gonzalez, I don't think he really needs to demonstrate much else beyond what he's already demonstrated for him to get paid either here or somewhere else. And I think that's ultimately what is going to happen and how this is all going to play out. 617-779-0985. Alex Barth is live at training camp. We will go to him next. We're going to get a quick update on the Sports Hub headlines from CC Cam. 90 seconds, no commercials here, and we'll continue with Alex Barth on the other side.
From the Town Fair Tiger Studios, this is Boston's home for sports. The flagship station of the Patriots, Bruins, the Celtics, WBCFM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station celebrating 65 years of broadcasting. Sports Hub headlines.
The Red Sox are back on the field in half an hour to finish off their series against the Pirates as they look to make it back-to-back wins after shutting out the Pirates 4-0 last night. Yoshida left early in the third inning with left hamstring tightness, and pitcher Sonny Gray earned his career-high 15th victory and is just the third Red Sox starter since 2019 to win 15 or more games. Chad Tracy announced yesterday that Trevor Story and Roman Anthony officially have their rehab assignments, as Story will play today with the Woo Sox, while Roman Anthony is scheduled to play on Tuesday with the Portland Sea Dogs. Christian Gonzalez did not participate in walkthroughs today due to a quote-unquote injury as he waits to get his big contract like Devin Witherspoon did yesterday, signing a 4-year, $132 million contract with $101 million guaranteed. And the Pats made some roster moves yesterday, signing first-year O-lineman Darian Dalcourt and Joe Mikulski. These headlines are brought to you by the 12th Annual Gate City Casino Brewfest, taking place next Saturday against August 22nd at Holman Stadium in Nashua, featuring over 100 craft beers, food trucks, and fun for all ages. I'm CC Cam, Boston's home for sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update in 1 hour.
Are you actually coaching the game, or it's just that is? I feel so strongly about.
Team any good football? What's going on at Ithaca this year?
One of the best D3 athletic programs out there.
Of course.
We almost won the Division III baseball championship when I was there. A way better football program than we did when we were there. Isn't that right, Alex Barth, who's joining us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline? Aren't things better now?
I don't know. I'm pretty nostalgic for like 2014, 2016-ish, so I'm not sure there.
Alex Barth, who, covered the football program like you wouldn't believe at Ithaca, and now has carried that through to cover the Patriots better than just about anybody in this town, joining us again on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Barth, a walkthrough today. What are we taking away from it?
It sounds like today it's mainly just usage personnel. Draymond Jones was back on the field and said after practice he's good to go. He'll be fine after leaving early yesterday. Obviously, Patriots already thin on the edge, so losing a guy that projects to be their top player at the position would not be ideal. But again, sounds like he's healthy. Whatever happened yesterday was a one-off. Also on defense, Sean Saunders got the interception in the preseason game, had one in the joint practices too. He's working a little more with the first defense, so rotating in, competing for that maybe even third safety spot, certainly fourth safety spot. Seems like he's going to get more of a look from this coaching staff.
Alex, what do we make of Christian Gonzalez? Not there at walkthrough today.
Yeah, I mean, the clock has started, right? So I'd said all along that, and maybe he's frustrated, but the pressure doesn't really begin until Witherspoon signs. All of the reporting throughout the summer was that Witherspoon was going to get the first deal, and now he has it. So I think you have like a week, right? Him missing today. Vrabel's continued to insist it's an injury thing. These days are in a way kind of recovery days, so not surprising in general to see a guy who's maybe banged up not be out there. But obviously his absence, I think, big picture is the biggest story this week. Does he come back on Monday? Does he come back for the joint practices? Does he come back and then maybe not partake in the joint practices? And that maybe tells us more about his absence missing last week's. Does he come back after the joint practices when the beginning of the season ramps up? Or does, and either way, right, whether it's the contract or if you take it at what they're saying, and it is an injury, this is one of the two best players on the team who's now going to miss about a week potentially with an injury. If they're trying to get ready for the season, that's not great. So one reason or the other, I think his status and when he ultimately does return is probably the biggest story looking ahead to a week of training camp where the Patriots have 6 days of practice in a row.
Yeah, Barth, you kind of just mentioned that the clock has started ticking with Witherspoon and the timeline there. When should Patriots fans start to, become concerned about Christian Gonzalez, missing time in the regular season or not being fully prepared to play week 1 against Seattle?
Well, so there's two different answers to that, because there's, if he is legitimately missing time due to injury, right, when does he need to be back? And then there's is he going to miss games due to the contract? Like, I don't think he's going to hold out into the season. It's just really hard to do that the way the league is structured. You need the service time. So, if he comes back and, maybe missing time in terms of preparation, obviously he missed time last year, he was hurt. That's not ideal, but I don't think he's going to miss games over the contract. Now, if we get to, they come out of that third preseason game against the Browns, which is kind of bang here. They have the game against the Eagles on Saturday, and then they play in Cleveland on Thursday. If he's not back after that, well, now it's, contract aside, but you take it at face value. If it is an injury, now you're getting into the real season ramp up, and now you start to worry about his availability for week 1. So, in terms of the contract, I kind of felt like once Witherspoon signed, it should move relatively quickly. Like, the floor is set, the parameters are laid out. I think I'd said like 3 to 5 days was the window I'd be looking for them to get a deal done. So obviously we're not even in that yet, but you're talking about by the end of this week, kind of by that preseason game on Saturday. But if it's not done, but he's back on the field, it definitely changes the conversation.
Barth, we've been talking a little bit about just in general what these joint practices mean. For the Patriots and, for the Eagles this week. Do you think it's important to have Gonzalez out there for the joint practices against the Eagles?
I think it's important for him just in terms of ramping up for the season. And again, last year, and this was a little more extreme, he has that hamstring injury early in training camp and ends up starting the year on IR and misses the first 4 games and came back and was a little shaky. And I think you saw, he needed some build-up time, as most players would. So I think these are important build-up reps. I think for the team as a whole, his whole job is to be on an island. So I think you can run the rest of the defense without him out there. Now, you might not be as successful because it's different putting Christian Gonzalez on an island versus Charles Woods or Kendall Vildor, but they can still get in the reps they need to get. I think it's more important for him than it is for the team as a whole. But obviously his readiness is relevant to the team as a whole. So maybe that's just semantics.
Do you buy in the reporting that Tommy Curran had earlier this week that Gonzalez is looking to get paid like it's 2027 and not 2026? And how do you think that matters at all as part of this negotiation?
I mean, I buy it to an extent. I think so. When this happened last year between Sauce Gardner and Derek Stingley, the increase was $100,000. The first guy broke it by $1 million in terms of the AAV, and the next guy broke it by $100,000. And then you had earlier this offseason, Trent McDuffie breaks the record by $1 million, Denzel Ward breaks it by $100,000. Now Witherspoon broke it by 1.9. I don't think Gonzalez wants to break it by $100,000. So that would be, if you're talking about like $1 million-ish increase, $1 million to $2 million increase, that kind of would follow the pattern of going to next year. Now, there is a premium corner up next year in Quinion Mitchell, and that is the other risk this Patriots run if they don't get this done this offseason. Quinion Mitchell is going to break it by more than $1 million. And so if he signs before Gonzalez, now you have to do that. So obviously Gonzalez wants it, right? He wants to make as much money as possible. I do think there is a case to have more than that $100,000 increase. Is it going to be the $1.9 million increase that Witherspoon got over Ward? I don't know. That's probably the ceiling of it. Now you're talking about $34.9 a year, essentially $35 million a year. I think that's like the absolute ceiling before the Patriots maybe start to look at other options. But if that means $1 million, $1.5 million increase over Witherspoon, because that has kind of been the year-to-year rate, I don't think, based on the bump Witherspoon got from Ward, I don't think that that's an unrealistic ask from Gonzalez.
Barth, I continue to see all kinds of highlights tweeted from the Patriots account on Twitter, including this Kayshon Boutte making a contested catch look very easy. Do you think that he will still be a member of the Patriots come week 1? And also, would you anticipate seeing maybe a little more of him in the upcoming preseason games and joint practices?
I still don't think he's going to be here week one. It just makes it makes more sense for him not to be here. And I think if you don't have a significant role for him as the Patriots, given he's in a contract year, it does make some sense to honor that. You know, a guy who might, and he's been a total professional. He's not had an easy time in New England, from getting benched as a rookie to, you know, he's always come up in trade rumors and cut rumors, and they keep bringing in guys to take his place, and he keeps beating those guys out. And he's done it really without, any bit of outward frustration. I'm sure he's been frustrated himself, and that's continued here. So when I say this, I don't mean like he's a diva that's going to blow up the locker room, but I think that that's a guy that would be legitimately frustrated if he was here not playing when he needs to play to get a contract. And if you don't have a big role for him, it might make sense to move on from him at that point. Now they need to get what he's worth. I wouldn't just give him away, but if somebody will give you a fifth round pick, I think you might take that. This is all pending, injuries and things like that. Will we see him more down the stretch? I do think he probably will get some more preseason run. Not a ton. I don't know how much he needs, but I do think that he'll get more than the 6 snaps he got against the Colts.
Yeah, Barth, while we're on the wide receivers, I saw some, I think you had it and a couple other people, but it seemed like Romeo Doubs had a really good day yesterday and has been kind of coming along in his relationship with Drake May. What have you seen from him just from when they acquired him to this point in his kind of growth in the Patriot system?
So he has had, really good week here last few days, certainly Scaz, and that's kind of come with his usage shifting a little bit. We're seeing him more on the outside. We're seeing some more contested catches. There has been more red zone work too, which is an area he's always thrived. So he's back doing something he's a little more comfortable with, and I think that's helped him get the ball rolling. And now the question is going to be, because they have A.J. Brown, who's very good on the outside. They have Mac Hollins, who's very good on the outside. Kayshon Boutte, if he's still here. So can he turn this confidence and this momentum into doing some more on that inside stuff? And if he can do it, great. If not, we'll see how Josh McDaniels adjusts within the offense. But this last week's been really encouraging. And McDaniels was asked about it today. We actually posted the clip on the 98.5 socials. They have a big wide receiver group. They had A.J. Brown. And Romeo Doubs is bigger than A.J. Brown, by the way. I don't know how many people notice that. He doesn't necessarily play bigger, but he's physically bigger. They go out, they draft Eli Raritan. You still have Mac Hollins. They're going to play bully ball. It's a go up and get it offense. And he is somebody that clearly thrives in that kind of setting.
Do you think they've done that on purpose for Drake May, Barth?
I think that's a big part of it. I don't think that's the only reason you do it. I think some of it is maybe a little zig when you zag, and secondaries are just kind of getting a little smaller around the NFL, and maybe this is an early counter. But Drake May has said he likes throwing to bigger receivers, and maybe it's something that they're going more all in on. Instead of, okay, we want to have one big guy to hunt matchups, hey, let's get a couple since Drake likes throwing to him anyway. I do think that, maybe not the entire reason, but I think a significant part of the reason is they're trying to tailor the offense to the quarterback, which is a good thing, and they should be doing. But I do think that's part of it.
Barth, I was reading your piece earlier on the offensive line, and it seems like some more shifting going on there. Andrew Rupchik going on IR. They're already kind of, weak at the offensive line. They bring in, 2 more kind of journeymen. Where are you on the Patriots offensive line at this point in the preseason?
I feel good about the starting group. I think the starting group has had a good camp across the board. That depth evaporates very quickly, though, and you're just it's unfortunate, but you're not going to have all 5 guys for all 17 games. Linemen get hurt. That's the National Football League. So, Marcus Bryant is the one exception. The 7th-round pick last year has looked really good as the backup left tackle, especially in the run game. I thought he had a good game Thursday night. The interior is what was already kind of shaky, and then you lose Ben Brown, who was the one guy I kind of felt good about as the backup center. Andrew Rupchik, who was the backup guard, is now out for the season. It doesn't sound like Ben Brown's out for the season, but he's going to miss some time. And after that, it's, James Hudson, who really has not had a good summer at tackle or guard. Mekhi Butler was a UDFA last year, hasn't played a ton of football. And then these guys they're signing who haven't really played any NFL snaps. So they had Greg Van Roten, who's an experienced guard, in for a workout, I think, last week. That's maybe a call I'd make, but they're no strangers to this. We saw them do this at the tackle position for the last few years. They would have to find their backup tackle on the waiver wire because they didn't have anybody in camp who could do it. I think they have their backup tackle now, and really two, and Caleb Lomu as well, but they don't have a clear backup guard on this roster right now. They might have to go elsewhere. The other thing would be, Mike Vrabel said last week they play Caleb Lomu at guard a little bit, like in camp, just to kind of see him, and they still haven't done it. So I don't know if that's something that's coming or if the plan changed. I would rather them sign a guard than do that, because I think Lomu needs the time at tackle to develop there, because that's his future position. I don't really want him wasting time at guard, but they need somebody. And if they're not going to go at externally, I think you'd have to give him a look.
Barth, before we let you go, has there been any fallout? What's been the last few days in Foxborough like with Andy Borgalis and the kicking situation? Because that was not a great watch the other night. Is that a fair way to describe that, Scaz and Barth? Would you agree with that?
As the biggest Andy Borgalis guy going, I would say that was a tough night. Tough night for the Andy Borgalis fan club.
Yeah, not ideal. And look, he misses like the 55-yarder, and you're like, all right, that's not a gimme. They're testing his range, whatever. And then he misses the second one. You're like, all right, it's not a gimme, but you'd like for him to hit one of them. He has a big leg, and then inside 50 should be automatic at this point, and that's to win the game. You misses that, you're like, oh boy, like now it's officially a rough night. So they did yesterday a live field goal period, and I tweeted a picture out of this if you want to check it out. If you've been to training camp, you've seen this. They have one goalpost. It's in the corner closest to the stadium, and it's half as wide as a regulation goalpost.
Maz would hate this goalpost.
They did a
Why would he hate it? It's skinny. Maz doesn't like the wider things.
They did a full team field goal period. So rushers, blockers, all of it. And they had him going at that narrow goalpost. He was 5 of 6 on the narrow one, but the one he missed was like just outside, and it's good on a regular goalpost. So I think that was to maybe ratchet up the intensity. Well, I know people hear that and say, well, who cares? Let's see it in a game. There was no game yesterday. There was no game today. That's as much as they can do. That's kind of a way you can get a little more pressure in practice than you otherwise would. So he looked good during that period for whatever it's worth. But no, he's going to be somebody to watch here as the preseason goes on. And they haven't brought in any kickers for workouts or anything like that. But I would think if he has another rough game, Mike Vrabel kind of notoriously had a quick hook for specialists in Tennessee. Was actually asked about that last year in terms of sticking with Andy Borgalis and after his rough start to his rookie year, and mentioned that it was kind of a lesson learned, and he doesn't always want to have that quick of a hook. He moved on from some good specialists in Tennessee doing that. But this will be a test of it. This will be a test of that patience. He is missing the kicks in meaningless games, but at a certain point, the games are going to mean something. And where is the line between we're going to give him the time to figure out whatever's wrong versus we got to get somebody else in here?
Barth, I say this as a compliment. Go back into your hole. Go write me more content at 985thesportshub.com. I know walkthrough just wrapped up. There will be stuff coming up on 985thesportshub.com today. As always, nobody covers the team like you, my friend, and we will see you a little later on.
Absolutely. See you guys later. Thanks for having me.
Sounds good. That is Alex Barth. Bringing himself like a groundhog out of his football hole to join us for 20 minutes here on the program.
I know the Kraft broadcast of that first preseason game got a lot of slack, as it should have. The great thing that they did right at the very end of that game was get the close-up on Mike Vrabel after Borgalis missed that kick. You could read his lips, the effing kicker. Boy, if that doesn't tell you where Mike Vrabel's head is at, and I mean... Sorry, Scaz, I wasn't aware that there was an Andy Borgalis fan club. I don't want to
it's a club of one.
I don't want to yuck your yum or anything like that, but it sounds like the Patriots head coach is already he's up to here. He is up to here with his second-year kicker in Andy Borgalis. It's going to be a tough season for you, bud.
I think kickers matter. Andy Borgalis, another hot take. Kickers matter in the NFL. Andy Borgalis, I think, will be fine, but not impending a lot. Yeah, the big question mark there. The other thing with kickers is there's a million of them. Just get rid of them and find another one. They all kind of stink. They all get hot here and there. Kickers suck. Most of them suck. If you ever watch a college football game, they're all terrible.
Joey Sly's probably rolling around out there somewhere, right?
It's Nick Folk doing these days.
I think he's under contract still with the Falcons. I mean, you had at one point Nick Folk in here. You had Younghoe Koo and Parker Romo, and they let all those guys go, and I think all three of them ended up making kicks for the Atlanta Falcons.
617-779-0985. Well, if there's one thing I don't want to be, it's the Atlanta Falcons. We'll continue with. I know you're very depressed about Andy Borregales. I have something that's going to make you feel better, Scaz, because it made me feel so happy in the last few days. And I want to get to that. We'll do that next.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Nothing pairs better with Surfside iced tea and vodka or Surfside lemonade and vodka like a day on the golf course. Made with real vodka, real tea, and zero bubbles. That's right, no carbonation. It's not a seltzer, it's Surfside. Cheers to hitting the fairway and cheers to Surfside. Must be 21. Please drink responsibly.
Hungry for a deal? With $14.99 big deal meals on the menu.
The Red Sox are going to Iowa. And I am so excited.
Not just Iowa, Matt McCarthy. Dryersville, Iowa.
Yeah. I don't know where that is, but it's somewhere in Iowa. And I want to go. That's what I know. I need more of that music, please, if you could. It's just... This movie sucks. Until the final 10 minutes, and then it's amazing.
There are better baseball movies. Front to back.
It's not even a baseball movie. I reject the notion that it's a baseball movie.
It's kind of a horror movie with all the ghosts and everything. I think of it as like a good Halloween movie.
It's a
movie about your dead dad hating you.
Yeah, and you hating your dead dad. But it's a movie about death. That's what the cornfield. I don't know if you picked up on this, guys. That's what that's what the cornfield represents. It's about death. Has very little to do with baseball. It's really more of a metaphor. I mean, they just talk about, like, Shoeless Joe, who was dead. The ghost.
And if you build it, they will come.
Right, the dead people.
The ghosts.
Yeah, not real people.
Your dead dad.
Yeah. I actually have, the movie ends and, like, you see all, like, the headlights and everything. I'm convinced that's just ghost headlights. And in the end, nobody actually shows up at the Field of Dreams, and they do foreclose on the property. That would be the bank comes and seizes it in the morning. That would be my read on that. But I'm so excited that the Red Sox are playing in I've been waiting for baseball to put the Red Sox in this game. I think this game is awesome. Now, I hate that it's on Netflix. I missed it this year because it's on Netflix, because it's such a made-for-TV event. It's a beautiful scene.
Beautiful.
Would you agree with that? It is awesome.
I mean, even, the people that aren't, biggest fans of the movie, like my fiance, I put it on the other night, and you're kind of just enraptured by the no outfield. There's no seats. There's nothing. Even up the first and third base line, like the stands only seats 4,000 people. I think it's a very small, intimate venue. Like there's just, you don't get that. It's just corn. You're in the middle of effing nowhere. You're in Iowa, and seeing the home runs, the Schwarber obviously is a couple bombs deep into the corn. Like, yeah, I'm not the biggest, nostalgia, get caught up in the moment guy, but yeah, that even does it for me a little bit. Like, there's just something about it. I don't even love the movie, but it's a gimmick that works, and gimmicks don't usually work in professional sports.
I think it's like even better than the Winter Classic at this point, but
Winter Classic blows.
It is. But the Winter Classic at first was great.
And then they started putting it everywhere and in Florida. And that's when I kind of was out on the Winter Classic.
I mean, they've been doing this game since 2018, I think was the first year they opted to do it.
But they went a number of years without it.
Okay.
Was this the first year it was back again?
Let's see.
First or second year it was back. I don't think they've played more than 4 or 5 of these games at this point. I think there was an issue with the site. There's always an issue with that site. And, the farmhouse and all that and the property and who actually owns it and who owns one cornfield and who owns the other.
3 games have taken place at the Field of Dreams game. The first coming in August of 2021. The White Sox beat the Yankees. Then in 2022, the Cubs beat the Reds. And yes, this was the first time they were back since 2022. It is now a new permanent ballpark. So that ballpark they put there, I believe, is now a permanent fixture.
And that's why they didn't play the game, because it was such a success. They're like, we need to shut this site down for a few years and
make it real.
Make it real.
Yes, yeah. So you will get Royals, Red Sox, August 12th of next year.
I want to go. I legitimately want to go. I want to take my dad. I want to take my brother. I want to go to the Field of Dreams game. So I don't care what kidney I have to sell. I don't care whose ass I have to kiss to get a media pass or access to tickets or whatever it may be. I just think this thing's really cool because I think visually, and maybe you go there and it's not great and it's actually better for TV, because I do think it is such a made-for-TV event, just the visuals of the corn. And I mean, I guess when the players come out of the cornfield, that's pretty cool too. I mean, maybe it gets old if you do it every single year, but I've been waiting for them to put the Red Sox in this game, and I am legitimately fired up for this. I'm legitimately excited, and then there's not going to be baseball, and I'm going to get this taken away from me.
Well, I was going to ask, would you rather the Red Sox get a Field of Dreams game or that they get an All-Star game here in Boston?
Give me the All-Star game.
Give me Field of Dreams, and here's why.
Boo.
And I want the All-Star game back here. And I think
we're waiting until at least 2031 for the Red Sox to get an All-Star game.
It's ridiculous that it's not here in 2029, 30 years after.
It's ridiculous that they're doing it in Oracle, which is the place baseball people tell me that hitters go to die. So that will be a great watching experience.
Oracle is, I mean, that's what they call San Francisco now, right? That ballpark's unbelievable, man. And that will be a great visual. I mean, on the water and home run derby into McCovey Cove. That will be pretty great. But they did it in San Francisco like 15 years ago, didn't they?
It's been recent.
Ichiro had a inside the park home run there, I think.
So
he hit it off the wall in San Francisco in right field and just ran around the ball. Like that couldn't have been more than 15 years ago, maybe 20 at this point at the height of Ichiro. But the fact that they're not doing Fenway in 2029 is ridiculous. But here's why I would prefer Field of Dreams over the All-Star game. Nothing will ever be the 1999 All-Star game. You can't replicate that. Give me something new.
Would you like to guess when Ichiro's inside the park home run was?
2010.
2007.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It
feels like it was, I don't know,
20 years ago. 20 years ago, 2007. Ken Griffey Jr. kicked the ball. That's what are you going to do?
Griffey did. It was Griffey with the misplay?
He was completely fooled by an unpredictable bounce. It kicked away from him and rolled back towards center field.
Yep. That was Griffey? They had Griffey in right field?
Apparently. Chris Young was on the mound.
Chris Young?
I'm just reading what they got here.
Is that AI?
It's Facebook. It's
Texas Rangers general manager?
Chris
Young?
That Chris Young.
Let's see.
I think it is. I don't really care.
I don't even remember that he was an all-star.
That's the thing about the all-star game. I mean,
MVP was Ichiro in that game.
Yep. Ichiro was a player, man. He was awesome.
You want to talk visuals, and look, I think Oracle looks great. I wish guys could hit for more power there, but you can't tell me that there's going to be any less TV magic, or however you want to call it, at Fenway Park compared to Oracle.
No, I agree with that. I mean, Fenway in 2029, Pedro comes out, throws the first pitch out, but nothing will ever be the 1999 All-Star Game ever again. The All-Star Game does not matter anymore. I mean, it very much still mattered in 1999. Not to mention, too, is the All-Century team. You want to talk about a Field of Dreams tie-in. You know who introduced the All-Star Game in 1999?
Was it Kevin Costner?
Costner.
Oh,
they got Costner out there. I think Fox did essentially a cornfield lead-in, and then they came to Fenway Park, and Costner introduced the All-Century team.
He's just always available. That's so nice to have in a guest where you can just call Kevin Costner for anything baseball related. He's like, yeah, sure, I'll walk through the cornfields again.
Did he do? So I missed it the other night. Was Costner out there?
I thought he was, because that's what got me thinking. I'm like, didn't we just do this with him a couple years ago?
I didn't see him out in the corn, but I do think he was involved. I don't know if it was pre-recorded or what, but I definitely heard his voice at some point. So I don't know if he was physically there, but he's certainly heavily involved, and I'm hoping cashing a check from that.
I think he was on the broadcast.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
If we're paying for Kevin Costner, we're going to use him until you're sick of him.
The Hall of Fame class for next year, Matt McCarthy, not great. So you got that great shot of all the Hall of Famers coming in, this year. I guess Andrew Jones and Jeff Kent kind of led the class, but there were
kind of ruins that.
Yeah, but they had legends. I mean, Cal Ripken was there, Jim Thome, Beltray, Andre Dawson, Raleigh Fingers. So next year, would you like your 2027 MLB Hall of Fame class
Sure,
that could be inducted? Well, some will be inducted while the Red Sox are out there. It is headlined by Buster Posey.
Oh, that's a good one.
And then you get Ryan Zimmerman.
No.
John Lester.
I mean, I like that from him. He's not a Hall of Famer.
How about Brett Gardner?
No. Yeah.
How about Kyle Seager?
Oh, my God.
Other newcomers listed, Jay Bruce, Asdrubal Cabrera, and Jake Arrieta. Not exactly a murderer's row for your 2027 first-time candidates.
You lost me at Brett Gardner.
As Mikey Adams once said, ass dribble.
Not good.
Dribble Cabrera.
Not good. I mean, maybe Chase Utley or Felix Hernandez gets in. A-Rod got 40% last year. It's not shaping up to be a very strong Hall of Fame class. I'll say that.
They'll just get some old Red Sox out there. Ortiz will come out of the cornfield. Pedro and, Buster Posey. I dig the cornfield thing. I don't know. I'm a sucker for the cornfield. I think it's awesome. The players coming out, I think it's great. But not on Netflix. Netflix is not where it belongs. This belongs on actual TV. I don't care. Put it on PBS for all I care. Anything better than Netflix.
That would be the right place for it.
No, it would be.
Same audience, right? Yeah.
Totally same audience. Because you're just appealing to me and a bunch of old guys. Like, lead in with Ken Burns baseball, give me the Field of Dreams game, and then give me Ken Burns Civil War afterwards.
I was going to say, you can just run Field of Dreams after the game is over. And by the way, I didn't even realize the game was on. I was just checking Twitter because it was up against the Patriots. It was up against a bunch of preseason football.
They need to put it on a Saturday night, not a Thursday night.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Saturday night on actual TV because I think it's a good watch.
And I did not watch a lot of this, but just based on the two Kyle Schwarber highlights that I played coming out of the break there, felt a little busy on the broadcast. I don't think you need 15 people in a booth. If you want to try and work in CC Sabathia, okay, fine. He's kind of an interesting guy. I think he's probably better suited for podcasting than broadcast. But he's talking. Other people are talking. Viscursion's trying to work in his Santa Maria, which everybody stepped all over. Like, I think when you're trying to do games like this, to Matt's point, it's like less is more. It's supposed to be a simpler game. That's why, again, 4,000 people and everybody walks out through the corn. I don't think you need the Netflix bells and whistles to make this sort of an iconic watching experience for baseball fans.
Put the Home Run Derby on Netflix. That's fine. That's where it belongs.
And if you want to have 15 people on that broadcast, fine. You need it because you got to cover all the time when people aren't socking dingers.
Yeah, not for this. I want to go, man. I want to go. I want to fly to Chicago, drive 4 hours out to Dyersville, Iowa.
Yeah,
you want to join, Scaz?
No, I don't think
so.
Does
Cedar Rapids have an airport?
Des Moines.
That might be your best
right
bet.
into Des Moines, yeah.
No, I believe it's Des Moines. It's French there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All the culinary schools they got in Iowa.
617-779-0985. Some reporting on the future of Alex Cora that I want to get to. We'll do that next. We'll continue. It's Matt McCarthy and James Scaramazino hanging out.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Not miss Alex Cora.
You didn't want him here in the first place?
I was never an Alex Cora guy. He's a cheater, wildly overrated his entire career. He stinks. No, I didn't want to. You can't be moping at Fenway Park. Coming from the guy who spent years moping around Fenway Park, bitching about everything, his roster, the schedule, a middle infielder whose teams could never properly infield a baseball or remember how many outs there were. No, I don't miss Alex Cora.
You are kind of a miserable prick.
Yeah,
I like it.
I learned in the Jeremy Conley School of Radio,
that we all did. That's for sure. No, I don't miss Cora at this point either. He was the right man for the job at one point. He was not the right man for the job at this point. Obviously, I do not think this turnaround would have happened with Cora at the helm. I think that is very, very apparent. However, he will probably be at the helm somewhere else very soon. Bob Nightingale reporting that Alex Cora, who turned down the Phillies job when Rob Thompson was fired, is expected to be the Phillies' next manager, barring a World Series berth or title. So if Mattingly gets them to the World Series or they win a title, they're not firing Mattingly, who is their interim guy there. But Cora is expected to be the Phillies' next manager next season.
No pressure, Don. No pressure at all for you, Donnie. Just go out there and win the World Series. My thoughts are it's kind of a match made in heaven. Dombrowski and Cora are two guys who hate prospects and hate developing talent.
Hate young players
in general. Dave Dombrowski will fill his roster with talented veterans, and Alex Cora will sit on his hands and tell them to hit the baseball and field the baseball, and they will hopefully do that at a high level, and he'll look smart for it. I think Alex Cora is a fine fit for the Phillies. He was a terrible fit for the Red Sox.
What do you think Alex Cora would think of this Patrick Sandoval meltdown that's going on right now? 2-0, bottom of the first. Sandoval is just getting beaten around, and he now tried to pick off at first base and threw the ball into the outfield.
I would say Alex Cora would be very upset. He would blame management after the game, probably.
The roster is the roster. The only thing about Sandoval, dude, what is that? The only thing about Sandoval is he's a veteran guy. So he's not a young guy. He doesn't have to manage him. He
That's
just gets
true.
to send him out there. He could Kyle Bearclaw this guy.
Oh, the Bear Claw. Yeah, we haven't had a Bear Claw this season for good. And also, while we're on this game, what do you make of Paul Skeens, biggest name in baseball? Pushed back again, struggling a little bit this year. I was hoping as a Red Sox fan to get to see him today. Should MLB teams be a little more concerned with the Skeens and Mizrowskis of the world?
A little bit. I mean, I would say Skeens, I worried about him coming off of the World Baseball Classic, and he has not been right this year.
A lot of those Baseball Classic guys have not been right.
No.
Cal Raleigh forgot what baseball was.
Yeah, I don't. I think the WBC is a really fun event in March, and I will take it over, literally anything else in March, which is not saying much outside of March Madness, of course. Although March Madness isn't even as good as it once
April,
was.
Basically, too.
It's
now.
pretty much is in April, and it's NIL, and there are no upsets anymore. But yeah, I mean, give it to me over some worthless NBA regular season game. I'm in on that. But it's not great. It's not great what it does to a lot of these players and a lot of these pitchers. So I'm bummed to not see Skeens today, but he has not been himself this year. And if you don't get off to a good start as a pitcher, it just sinks seasons. We've seen it time and time and time again. If you don't have the perfect ramp up or whatever it is, you're behind, you're stretched out too early. It just sinks seasons. Like Garrett Crochet was not right in spring training and was never right this year. And I don't know if he'll be back this year. So that's the way it goes, man. But real quick on Cora, this is a perfect fit, and I do believe it's going to happen because Bob Nightingale is tight with Dombrowski. Nightingale was the guy who had kind of the first Dave Dombrowski side of things report after the Red Sox unceremoniously fired him in the middle of the Patriots season opener on Sunday Night Football. So I do think this is probably going to happen. That does feel like a fit. 617-779-0985. How about Ryan in Derry? Hey, Ryan.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me all right?
We got you just fine.
Okay. I just wanted to tack on to what you guys were talking about with the Field of Dreams game. I feel like MLB kind of missed it on this one where at least this year the Braves have Mike Yastrzemski. So it would have been nice to see the whole Yastrzemski thing, have Carl come out of the corn or something. And then the fact that, the Braves used to be the Boston Braves and stuff, I think that would have been the better matchup.
Your thoughts on that, Scaz, as I see you cracking a smile over there.
Yeah, I mean, what the theater, Matt? I mean, the pageantry, the overall affair, the Yastrzemskis. I mean, he plays for the Braves. His dad used to play for the Sox. You gotta get him out there.
The Braves used to be in Boston.
They
I don't know
did.
if you've heard.
What about the Dodgers?
It's a very famous Amtrak series, the Red Sox and the Braves. Yeah.
I mean, that's a baseball. That's who the game is for, right there. You mentioned it earlier, Matt McCarthy, the Ken Burns lead-in and outro. I think Danny Roach would be very happy with that call as well.
I would be too. You want to talk Yaz with me? I'm happy to talk Yaz.
I had to double check. 86 years old, Yaz, going strong. So happy to see that. I had to double check.
I don't know if I wanted to make an 86-year-old man try to step through a cornfield and everything.
Hey, Tony La Russa was out there, and he was not looking great. There were some old timers walking through the corn this past week.
How old is Tony La Russa at this point?
81.
117?
81.
Only 81.
Feels like just yesterday he was managing the Chicago White Sox off a cliff.
Feels like just yesterday he was falling asleep in the Red Sox suite when he was an advisor for the Sox there.
Dude, he did manage the White Sox for a year.
You remember the crap with Yermin Mercedes and take a pitch and I had to run out there and tell this guy not to swing when a position player was, the other team had given that's one of those things I go, oh my God, get these old guys out of baseball because this is the kind of crap that they perpetuate.
He managed them for 2 years in 2021 and 22. That felt like a 1 year experience. No, that was 4 years ago. He was 77 years old. There's sometimes the crusty, dusty old baseball guy is a good thing. That was never going to be a good thing.
No, never. Tony La Russa was doing things he shouldn't have been doing 10 years ago and was still allowed back in Major League Baseball numerous times. But
that's who the Field of Dreams game is for. Roll them out there. Bring them through the cornfield. I'm in for that. Scaz, this has been a blast and cathartic and needed, by the way, for me personally, and I think hopefully for you personally as well.
Yeah, absolutely, McCarthy. Definitely not how I would have wanted my first weekend shift to ever go, but I was always loved talking to Jeremy Conley, and I will always love talking about Jeremy Conley. I loved him dearly. He was, invited to my wedding. He was one of my, not just a coworker, he was a friend. So my thoughts and prayers are just continuously with his family, his parents, his sister, his niece, who I know he loved more than anything, and just his close friends who knew him for 20, 30 years, because if he meant as much as he did to all of us, and we only knew him for, a fraction of his life, I can't even begin to imagine what he meant to his family. So I just want to kind of leave with that. We loved him very much, and he meant the world to all of us.
Into the cornfield. Our good friend Jeremy Connolly. We will very much miss him. He was the best. Ryan Garvin, thanks a lot for all your hard work today. CC Cam, thank you for your hard work all this summer. She was a great intern for us. She's headed back to school. She's going to give you Sports Hub headlines here at 2 o'clock as we lead into Mark Dondero. He's James Scaramazino. I'm Matt McCarthy. Have a great rest of your weekend. See ya.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, the Peterson School has been a leader in teaching the trades for 80 years and is opening their 5th location in Dartmouth, serving southeastern Mass and the Cape.